Nice. Yeah, a pretty catchy national anthem. What is up, everybody? We are watching some F1. Australian Grand Prix. Alex Albon getting ready to go. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm pretty excited for this. I don't watch F1 that much. Well, I've been watching it more the last few years, but I guess now this will be. I've watched 2 of 3 races this year. I didn't watch Saudi Arabia, but it's weird. I did watch qualifying for Saudi Arabia, but I didn't watch the actual race.
But let's see. Well, the drivers behind you all seem a bit annoyed because of your straight line speed. That's got to be the key, isn't it? To hold position and get some points.
But yeah, literally the only reason I'm even doing this, I probably would be asleep by now. But I worked until midnight, so I just got home and then had to wait an hour. So it's like, why not? Yeah, Lewis hasn't won since the second to last race in 2021, the Saudi Arabian. Well, back then that was the second to last race. Now it's the second race of the year.
I mean, we put a plan in place. It's hard to know what we can achieve. We do need a little bit of luck. We need things to go our way, but
Lando Norris is a gamer.
We've got our strategies. There's not too much to do. You can do on strategy around here, but I'll try to race forward and overtake a few cars. Simple as that.
Why does he suck now? I don't watch F1. It's just because it's how it goes. It's how it goes. Like, if your car sucks, you suck. That really is how it is. I mean, it's kind of why I don't, like, respect F1 as much. I mean, obviously, you still have to be a good driver. No matter what. If you're a shit driver, you're not going to do good. But it's just because, like, his Mercedes hasn't been having the best cars the last, this year and last year, so that's honestly why. What's up with the major fall off? I'm not sure exactly what goes on, but it's something back at the shop. It's just stuff with how they make their cars. People say it's because he's gotten older. It's like that's bullshit. Like, that's not to say that like being old won't, like driving a race car no matter what's an insane thing to be able to do. But with F1, it's literally just have a good car, and that's it. I mean, you start first, you win the race pretty much 90% of the time. Red Bull has been getting better with their cars, and Mercedes has been getting a little bit worse. I mean, Mercedes is still the second best team. It's just they're not as good as Red Bull.
Simon, there's no reason that Max Verstappen should look nervous. He's won the first Grand Prix. He was second in the second one,
but how is everybody doing tonight? I don't want to go on an F1 rant right at the beginning of the stream.
Melbourne's been a hoodoo, hasn't it? It's been a bogey circuit.
I watch F1 and then shit on it. I talk so much shit on F1, yet I still watch. Why do I do this? I don't know.
He talks to Helmut Marko. He's starting to relax for the first time I've seen him on the grid. But he's been checking his rear wing, and that rear wing with the drag reduction system is going to be crucial for Red Bull. It gives them 2 to 3 tenths of a second advantage over any other car using their DRS. And because there are 4 of them around here, that's going to be crucial.
But yes, it is almost 3 p.m. in Australia. So, yeah, they're 14 hours ahead of, well, my time zone, the Eastern time zone.
It's going to be a great battle between Alonso and the Mercedes.
It's weird in LA, like in California, they're watching this like on Saturday night. That's weird. Like a Saturday F1 race.
If you are just waking up for the start of the race back in the UK, you've got your timing right. It is a beautiful day here. Bright blue skies, as you'd expect here in Melbourne, and the Australian Grand Prix is coming right up.
What causes a curve down there?
Can it be treated? Stop typing and start talking. It could be a medical condition.
I mean, my thing is, Jane, I don't know, like, the logistics of every single little thing that goes on, like, to making an F1 car, but it's just, like, if you have something even a little bit off, you're gonna be not the best. Like,
it's on, and he's off. You can see his glucose numbers right in your phone.
and in that sense, I guess I do respect, like, the engineering aspect of it, but it's just, like, I much prefer, like, seeing driver talent.
Allergies don't hold us back. Allegra starts working 2 times faster than Claritin. And unlike Zyrtec, it won't make us drowsy. Allegra gives you the fastest, non-drowsy 24-hour allergy relief, so you can live your greatness.
I see how Pro starts working instantly. With 2 max-strength pain relievers. So you can rise from pain like a pro. I see how Pro.
Welcome to the tour.
How is the search for love going?
I mean, I had such high hopes.
This is your first tour. You're supposed to go hard.
I'm so happy that I get to see America for what it is.
You don't know my values. Maybe we have more in common than you might think.
Why don't you just tell me what they are?
Ma, what are our values?
You're with him every day? How do you resist him?
Are you serious? Because I'm with him every day.
FX is Dave. Premieres Wednesday at 10 on FXX. Stream on Hulu.
Formula One coverage on ESPN is presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Brand new for 2023, Sky Q, Sky Glass and Sky Stream customers will be able to jump on board with any of the 20 Formula One drivers on this year's grid. Watch every race, sprint, qualifying and
The Kings made the playoffs? Yeah, that's insane.
Perspective and listen in on their team radio.
Become a threat.
To get started, all you need to do is download the Sky Sports app to your phone or tablet device, which you can do by scanning this QR code. Log in once with your Sky ID and head to the Sky Sports F1 channel to choose your driver. Sky Glass, Sky Stream and Sky Q customers can also access this experience via the red button on your remote control. Once you're there, you'll also find our new battle channel.
Keep the pressure on him, he's worried about his tyres. So we're happy to pick up the pace now. Yes. Bye-bye.
We'll be showing you the on-track battles taking place up and down the field that might not be shown on the main feed. Be sure to download the app or hit your red button to experience even more action this weekend. That should keep you entertained, shouldn't it? This morning back in the UK, fancy Hamilton Alonso on those onboards. That should be very, very tasty. Jensen knows what it's like to win round here, and he arrived at Albert Park in style.
Everyone drop a like on the stream, would be greatly appreciated.
In Australia, they drive Formula One cars on the road. What do you think of that? Oh, this is crazy. First impressions? Not the easiest to drive in traffic. Pretty good. So here we are in Melbourne, driving a single-seater race car around the street. When I came to Australia back in 2000, I went to Albert Park in a taxi and took a ride around the track. Oh, I wish I had one of these back then. Woohoo! Listen to that V12. Beautiful. Nothing against the V6 in F1, but this is 2 V6s.
It's an electric.
Albert Park. There's been some amazing races over the years. Also been some pretty scary incidents. I've been pretty lucky here to win 3 races. Oh, let's see if we can get it around the roundabout. How you doing? It's my daily. Going across tram tracks in a single-seater race car. There's always a first time.
The next longest playoff drought is now the New York Jets. No, it's the Mariners. Oh, no, yeah, the Mariners, yeah, they went to the playoffs.
Take it all in.
So,
Nice hat, dude.
yeah, that's over.
Look at you, mate. How you doing?
This is Sports Center Los Angeles.
At the Final Four, a battle of first-time title hopefuls comes down to the final shot, plus Miami trying to slow the Huskies' roll in Houston. As Iowa and LSU get set to square off on Sunday, hear what both teams and our experts are saying about that matchup. And the Red Sox and Yankees both had a chance to walk off in the ninth inning. See which team was able to deliver.
Wait, should I be moving over to... Yeah, I should move over to ESPN. Yeah. So everyone move over to ESPN now.
Let's face it, we all like to spend a Sunday afternoon relaxing in the park, but here in Melbourne, here at Albert Park, this is no ordinary relaxing Sunday afternoon. It's round 3 of the Formula One season in 2023. It is the 37th World Championship Australian Grand Prix, and we're here, down under in Melbourne. 23 races to come before the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi, and this is the track we're racing on today, 58 laps. 3.28 miles per lap, 14 corners, 5 to the left and 9 to the right, and this year 4 DRS zones worth an extra second in lap time per lap. There's the 14 corners. Wind our way around the Albert Park Lake, and we head towards turn 1, just 261 metres to go to that corner from pole. Hamilton and Alonso in 2007. Lewis Hamilton announced his arrival on the Formula One world stage and went around the outside of his teammate. This is Robert Kubica.
All right, I'll be right back.
In 2009, late collision there, and Sebastian and Robert tangling in their BMW Sauber and Red Bull. And let's move on to turn 9. What a corner this is in the modern era of Formula One. Sergio Perez on Lewis Hamilton in last year's race. He's going to have to do some more overtaking like that today as Checo, as he starts from the pit lane. Should be a one-stop strategy, barring any late safety cars. Will the C4 tyre last long enough for some drivers to choose it from the start? The medium tyre is the C3, the hard tyre is the C2. I'm told the hard tyre, you can really push on it and it will last for quite a long time. Ask Alex Albon, who did 56 laps on it in last year's race. Well, this is how the grid then lines up for our race this year. Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas starting from the pit lane. Suspension change for Valtteri Bottas and new engine components for Sergio. Joe Guan Yu starts 17th, Logan Sargent starts 18th. His teammate started there last year and finished in the top 10. The homeboy Oscar Piastri 16th. Nick De Vries, first time in Q2.
Oh, Jaden.
Starts 15th.
Jaden, I'm pissed. I'm pissed about something I needed to tell you. They took Rowdy Energy out of the Speedway, the gas station near my house. They don't sell it anymore. I'm pissed.
Charles Leclerc, Q3 laps, compromised, couldn't do the preparations laps, is 7th. Lance Stroll 6th, and Carlos Sainz out-qualifies Leclerc for the first time this season. Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton starting together on the second row. And ahead of them, George Russell and Max Verstappen on pole for the 22nd time in his Formula One career. 16 wins from 21 previous poles, but as we look down Jenson Button to the grid, let's talk about that top 4. Max Verstappen, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. I make that 11 world titles between them. That is a tasty.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
It is, and poor George is second there with 1 race win. But he's got a lot of confidence in himself, and what a fantastic lap by him yesterday.
Can you see any of those 4 coming through turn 2 unscathed?
I'll be surprised. You know, we do have higher temperatures today, so they're going to be able to work the tyres a little easier. But the cars have been really edgy the last couple of days here. And I think turn 1, even if you cover turn 1, like I'm sure Max is going to try and do, you lose the exit of turn 2, and you've got to cover again into turn 3. So, yeah, we're going to have some action here.
So, starting tyres, Pierre Gasly has saved a new set of soft compound tyres. He's going to use them right at the start. And his teammate Esteban Ocon will too. Joe Guan Yu and Valtteri Bottas, the other 2.
It says it's still at Speedway. I don't know how up to date this thing is. So that's an issue.
All on the medium tyre.
Yeah, it's I mean, we expected everyone at the front to be on the medium, didn't we? It should be a one-stop race. They're pretty straightforward, but they don't have the information they normally have coming into the race, because Friday we had red lights, we had a windy, cold day,
and a little bit of rain here and there. So, yeah, they're a little bit unknown going into the race today. Yeah, track temperature 34.7 degrees. It is significantly warmer. So, what data did the teams gather to be relevant at all for this afternoon?
Yeah, so it's going to be about really thinking.
It says Wegmans has it, which is also like right by my house, or it's like pretty much right next to Speedway, which is like a half mile from my house.
Fernando's tyres not quite as shiny as those ahead of him. He has got a new set of the medium tyres, but I wonder if that is a new set actually on that car.
And also look the same for Stroll. Yesterday they were actually talking, especially Stroll, saying that he preferred running on a used set. You get it working quicker, so maybe that's why they've done that at the start of the race.
And that Aston Martin
Yeah, I saw that the Red Sox won today. I didn't watch the truck race today, but I did watch. I went on break, and they were in the final like 6 laps, so I got to watch that, and then the few overtimes, and then the finish. I was really happy to see that Carson Hocevar got his first win. That was awesome. I've been waiting for that for a while. It's a shame it didn't happen while I was streaming, you know.
It is sellout crowds,
whatever.
as it has been pretty much every day here at Albert Park. I spoke to Andrew Westercott, the chief exec of the Australian Grand Prix Corporation.
And I'm happy that it seems like Dean Thompson's going to be all right. That was a scary, scary crash.
450,000 is expecting over the course of this weekend.
Staggering, isn't it? I've raced him for 17 years, and we've never had attendance like that. So, no, F1 is obviously in a great place, and it is here in Australia as well. And the fans are amazing here, aren't they?
Previous wins, the last 5 winners. Charles Leclerc won from pole, of course, last time out. Valtteri Bottas, Sebastian Vettel, it was the last Red Bull on pole here, and Nico Rosberg. You forgot your 3 wins on that caption. How dare they?
It's quite a long time ago. That's probably why.
It seems like just yesterday in my mind, I must admit. And for Max Verstappen, well, he's got a points clear of his teammate Sergio Perez going into this race. The Red Bull start last and first.
Did I buy the sweep set? I have not yet.
Would have wanted, but what can Checo do for the pit lane today?
He's had a nightmare of a weekend, hasn't he? But no, hopefully they've sorted out his issues. He was looking.
I might buy it. I'm not sure if I'm going to.
With braking and turning, he was looking up the inside front very easily, and that's what caused his issue in Q1.
And there he is, Sergio Perez in the garage. In a few moments' time, the tyre blankets will come off.
Oh, let me put up.
At the end of the pit lane, he'll start behind Valtteri Bottas, and he's on those hard compound tyres. Now, last year, Alex Albon did 56.
What the fuck you spell this guy's name? There you go.
Hard tyres, and then just pitted for the soft tyres right at the end. I wonder if Red Bull are looking at a strategy like that today.
Yeah, they will. You know, he has to be aggressive. You know, it's going to be reasonably easy on the tyres today, so he's got to use the speed of that car and be a little bit aggressive with his overtaking moves.
10 years for Lewis Hamilton as a Mercedes driver, 10 years at Mercedes for Toto Wolff too, and Mercedes starting 2nd and 3rd on the grid. A very impressive qualifying performance yesterday. George Russell, first man to out-qualify Lewis Hamilton as a teammate here since Jenson Button in 2010. Jenson Button went on to win that race that afternoon as well, and George hoping that might be a lucky omen for him in a few moments' time. We have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out and away we go.
Green flag.
Well, so does George Russell. Lewis Hamilton under pressure from Fernando Alonso. Russell has got the inside line going into the first corner. Russell just noses ahead from Max Verstappen. Russell takes the lead. Fernando Alonso trying to get around the outside in turn 2 of Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton pulls away. Or George Russell, sorry.
Now defending as Carlos Sainz getting on the action. Down the inside. Goes
oh, there we go. Car around. That's Leclerc. Yellow flag in sector 1. No caution yet.
That was excitement, wasn't it? Now Max Verstappen's down to 3rd. Mercedes 1 and 2.
Lewis Hamilton is ahead of Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz is ahead of Fernando Alonso. Oscar Piastri looks like he's lost a couple of places too in this early exchanges. But what a poor start for Charles Leclerc as the 2 Alpines there, Gasly and Esteban Ocon, very, very close together. Ocon's going to try and make a move, going through, and there is Fernando Alonso under pressure too. What a start, the first lap here at Albert Park.
The Alpines are on it.
Did Leclerc get going?
For them. Oh, what a nightmare for Charles Leclerc in the gravel, stuck, end of race. But what a race we have here.
Yep, safety car.
The safety car is out because Charles Leclerc's car is still stuck in the gravel.
Caution's out.
He's out of the car, he's out of
that sucks.
This time last year, celebrating victory from pole. His teammate Carlos Sainz on that occasion going out early on. This year, sadly, it's Charles Leclerc's turn.
It is. First lap is a pain. He's come all halfway around the world for this race, and it's over at turn 3. We've heard that on the radio, Max has been complaining that Lewis pushed him wide at turn 3.
Well, he certainly did go very wide indeed as Hamilton tried to go down the inside. Let's just have a little look at who are the winners and losers here as Esteban Ocon coming in for an early pit stop behind the safety car. They get rid of the soft tyres. They get a hard compound tyre.
Yeah, I just scratched my ass and I showed it on camera. What are you going to do about it?
They pit on lap 1. It's surprising, but they obviously think they know what they're doing, and this is inevitable. It's very, it's to be expected by Checo.
So Checo Perez puts the medium tyre on. There's quite a few coming into the pits, as you can see. Joe Guan Yu.
So already Charles Leclerc's out. The safety car's out.
His teammate, by the way, Alex
Lap 1.
up into 6th place.
Well, now we're on lap 2, but
Fernando Alonso's lost a place to Carlos Sainz. And the incident between Lance Stroll and Charles Leclerc, of course, Leclerc's retirement is being looked at. And certainly Leclerc got tagged by what looks like to be the Aston Martin.
Yeah, it did. Just as he tried and turned in, there was a bit of an overlap there. Let's see if we can see it better from this view.
Well, Sainz nearly came together with Alonso. Leclerc turns in, and Lance Stroll's front left tyre is just kind of there, isn't it?
He's got nowhere to go. He's got his teammate to the right. That was a bit naughty. That's from Carlos. And yeah, he had nowhere to go. He couldn't move to the right to get out of the way of Charles. So it was one of those racing incidents.
No further investigation, say the race stewards. They agree with Jensen Button that that was just a racing incident. But what an incident-packed opening lap it was, and what a start from George Russell. And you often, if you get a good start from the front row, that inside line becomes your friend very quickly.
Yeah, and he's going in a straight line. You see Max coming across and doing more of the circuit. He's trying to cover him off. But a great start by him. It also put Max on the back foot through turn 1 and turn 2, as we said it could do. And Lewis had a great run at him into turn 3.
If you are just waking up back in the UK, a very good morning to you and a very happy Sunday to you as well. And for Mercedes, this is a very happy Sunday at this very early stage, because neither George Russell nor Lewis Hamilton have run a lap in the top 2 this season, and they are 1-2 behind the Mercedes-Benz safety car as we head into lap 3 of this race.
Yes, this is 2023, guys. It's not 2019. We are seeing a Mercedes 1-2.
Let's have a look at the start again. What a brilliant launch.
yeah, Max Verstappen very quickly fell to third.
On the inside there, he's got a bit of an overlap. Max gives him room, but he was very, very gentle through turn 1. As he was through turn 3, it looks like Max is really struggling for tyre temp there. Rear was loose through turn 2, and he brakes really early, which is a surprise because he has a big gap to the car in front. He almost gets swallowed up by Lewis and Carlos. He did push him wide. Obviously Leclerc in the gravel there.
Lance touched my rear right rock. Got me listed.
And the stewards say no further investigation.
Yeah, so Max came across, tried to cover off George, and then he gives him a bit of space. He was very cautious through this corner. He's positioned himself bad, obviously, for turn 2. Big snaps of oversteer on the exit there, not able to get the power down. And then he brakes pretty early in the middle of the track, which is obviously the most difficult because you're on the peak of the road there. Lewis on the inside, they didn't touch.
Yeah, that was quite the first lap.
Personally, I don't think. It was just a great overtaking move.
Elbows out.
He pushed me off the track. I was ahead of the apex.
I don't know how he pushed him wide if he wasn't ahead at the apex. It's very difficult for a guy on the inside to push you wide if he's not actually in front of you.
He's not ahead, is he?
No, he's not ahead. So he's not pushed him wide. I mean, Max has been good at giving him room. Otherwise, they would have collided.
As we see these replays, safety cars coming in this lap. Quickly down to Ted Kravitz.
Just a quick one. Sergio Perez pitted again onto the hard tyre this time with the aim of going to the end of the race in one set of tyres. We'll see if the way it works.
Yeah, one of several, Ocon and Joe.
That's a stretch, going to the end of the race on the hards.
Safety car period is ending. George Russell.
All right, going back green.
Lewis Hamilton, it's like Sao Paulo.
Green flag.
Isn't it, from last year? We're going green once more, and we can get some racing back underway. George Russell leads them down that main straight. Lewis Hamilton has Max Verstappen behind him. Carlos Sainz has his fellow Spaniard Fernando Alonso behind him. Alex Albon up under pressure a little bit from Lance Stroll. Then comes Pierre Gasly, Nico Hulkenberg, and Yuki Tsunoda as we make the run now towards turn 3. And that's a very fine restart from George Russell, putting him in a distance between himself and his teammate. How long can Hamilton hold the faster Red Bull at bay? We'll find out.
Yeah, very straightforward restart. George got on the power really early, sort of 3 corners before the end of the lap.
Just got done watching night 1 of WrestleMania, and now this.
Doesn't Melbourne look brilliant as well in the sunshine?
Said it's a great show. Maybe I should watch more wrestling. Like, whenever I do watch it, I seem to enjoy it. So
He's right behind Kevin Magnussen. Lando Norris trying to
I should watch more of it.
under pressure, and Max Verstappen trying to put Lewis Hamilton under pressure too. They don't get DRS.
I feel like I would enjoy WWE more than, like, real wrestling. The fake shit's just better. What can I say? Like, there's a reason they fake it. It's because it's more entertaining, you know?
7/10 of a second. George Russell has over his teammate Lewis Hamilton. We've heard drivers saying following here is not easy in the turbulent, dirty air.
Yeah, we've seen that, and Max is obviously piling on the pressure to Lewis. But Lewis, you know, he's very calm. He's been in this situation before. No worries there for him. But what a start to a race we've had.
Max Verstappen, 21 previous poles, he won 16 of them, he was on the podium for another 3, and he crashed into Lewis Hamilton on the other 2, and I sincerely hope that that doesn't happen for either of the 2 drivers here today. Carlos Sainz getting a bit detached behind Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso getting a bit detached behind Carlos Sainz as well. Alex Albon sticking to the rear wing of that Aston Martin. The Williams has been very fast all weekend long in the middle sector, as we ride on board now with the championship leader. Flat out through Albert Park.
Yeah, we're going to see the toe effect through here because he's going to be flat on the throttle all the way up into turn 9. You do go through the little snake here, the right, the long left. This feels like it goes on forever. And you see the regen of the cars in front. But through turn 9, through turn 10, they seem like they've relaxed a little bit. He's not putting as much pressure, or can't put as much pressure on Lewis Hamilton.
Lap times out in front, 1:23.1 for George Russell on the previous lap. The race lap record here at 1:20.2 by Charles Leclerc last year. Charles Leclerc out of this race after making contacts in a racing incident, say the FIA stewards, with Lance Stroll at turn 3 on the opening lap. DRS is going to be enabled on this lap, and there are 4 DRS zones for the drivers to enjoy an extra pace advantage as Max Verstappen now sets a new fastest lap of this race. And the field comes streaming down then the main straight. There's Lando Norris, behind Lando Norris Kevin Magnussen, there's Oscar Piastri, and there is Checo Perez gaining on Zhou Guanyu.
Yeah, it's the top 3 are putting a little gap now on Carlos Sainz, and it feels that Carlos Sainz is just backing up a little bit. He's like, I'm not racing those guys, I'm going to start looking after my tires, which is going to quite well later in the race.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz is just backing him up a little bit. That's not helping Fernando Alonso behind him. He needs an overtake quickly, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, because he's got the pace of the guys in the front, but you know, it's a little bit draggy, the Aston Martin. Whether they're running more downforce or it's just a draggy car, I don't know, but he will have an opportunity next lap when the DRS starts.
So now we've got the DRS enabled. George Russell, I'm sure, would just like to try and get more than a second ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. That's not happening. Here comes Hamilton at George Russell with that DRS. Now, if Mercedes are a bit clever, they can...
I think it's cool that right outside the track you can see real cars driving on, like, the real roads.
Lewis protected from Max
It must sound like, it must be a crazy sound. But definitely back in, like, the V8, V10, V12 days, like, that had to be crazy sounding from just driving right down the street.
He's going to go for that win. No team orders here, which is great to see.
Last weekend in Jeddah, race weekend, 22 times Max Verstappen and Checo Perez exchanged.
This might be like the best, most even blunt I've ever rolled. This is beauty. I mean, it's kind of wrinkly, like, in here, but that doesn't really matter.
Oh dear, George Russell feeling a little bit, what's the word, vulnerable?
A little bit, understandably. But, you know, it's a tricky part of the race because they're used to just looking after the tyres at this moment of the race, but it seems that DRS is having such a big effect that you can't relax. He has to push.
It's with the slipstream, it's 12.
Yellow flag in sector 2. Oh! Alex Albon's in trouble. That's going to be a caution.
Front wing 2, and that's a Williams stranded on the curbs, and no surprises.
Yeah, safety car.
Has been
Alex
deployed
Albon just
for
got
the
fucking
second time in
killed.
this race, and Alex Albon, who was having a brilliant race after spending one lap in the top 6 in the whole of last year, running in the top 6 here, sadly out of the race with an off.
That's a big shot there as well. It's turn 7, lost the rear of the car.
Show the replay.
Devastating for
Look
him.
at that.
That's the highest they've been
What
running.
happened?
P6, that was such a great position.
Thanks, you all okay? Yeah, fine.
Well, at least he's all right.
George Russell, the race leader, is coming into the pits. Ted Kravitz is down there in the pit lane. Ted, let's see if we can come down to you.
Also, Carlos Sainz, it's a little bit earlier than they would have wanted, but you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. It's a little bit slow on the back. They had to take this. Obviously, I haven't seen Lewis Hamilton, so Hamilton has stayed out. Verstappen has stayed out.
Yes.
But then George Russell, as far as the race long term goes, this is a gain for him. Let's see how it shakes out.
I think that is the sensible decision. What he loses in the short term, and we're on lap 8 of this race, and that safety car is going to be, what, another 3 or 4 laps, you would have thought, Jensen. Those hard tyres can easily go to the end of the race for George Russell.
Yeah, they can, and as we've seen many times with Mercedes when they were...
There's a lot of debris on the track from that.
got both strategies covered.
Or is that just the
One guy
gravel?
still leading the race, being Lewis Hamilton.
And this is Alex Albon.
Oh.
Absolutely no
Oh.
chance there.
That was a hard hit.
Avoiding that accident.
Man,
He
they
was
just
heading
narrowly
to the
avoided.
tyre barriers, and he was a bit of a passenger.
He was. The rears on the entry. I don't know if it was an under rotation or something, but an unusual incident there. I have done exactly the same thing 23 years ago, but yeah, I feel for him. That is a good result gone very early on.
And there he is, standing by the side of the track. I'm glad to say he's okay physically. Seems to be okay physically, but he would have been...
It's just good to see him walk out.
Around about
Scary hit.
140 miles an hour approaching that particular corner. Alex Albon well, losing the rear and no chance of a recovery.
It's going to be a massive disadvantage. I don't think so. So Verstappen stayed out.
So, would Lewis Hamilton wanted to have pitted? By the sounds of that, yes. How do Mercedes make the decision? They say whoever's leading.
So George Russell did pit. Hamilton didn't. So Lewis Hamilton's the leader right now. Red flag?
That has not put Lewis Hamilton at a disadvantage at all, because the red flag has now come out, and the course of the early part of this race and the destiny.
Oh, I think it's probably because he did some damage to that barrier.
80 degrees here. We're down under, and George Russell's race has gone from the top to somewhere near the bottom, because now anyone who hasn't pitted gets a free choice of tyre change during the red flag period.
Yeah, here's the incident here. Big snap of oversteering. So George is now 7th place on the restart. So he has gone from leading the Grand Prix, an amazing position, to P7, just the blink of an eye.
That's what it looked like. Lance Stroll following Alex Albon on.
He did run wide the corner before. He did get on the dirt, didn't he? So I don't know if he picked up something or got a puncher, because that's an unusual incident in that corner.
So to the pit lane.
I don't know why they're... I mean, I guess it makes sense. There's probably damage to that barrier.
Mechanics will get out. The drivers may be getting out of their cars too. Lewis Hamilton leads this race from Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso. And as Lewis Hamilton was saying, that's put me at a massive disadvantage. Now he gets a free pit stop.
Heard John Cena lost at WrestleMania.
Alonso and Stroll and Gasly and Hulkenberg, who haven't pitted yet, well, they're not going to lose 22 seconds that you normally lose for a pit stop. Who else have made pit stops? Carlos Sainz had come in with George Russell. Esteban Ocon had pitted early in this race. Sergio Perez had pitted too. Joe Guan Yu, Valtteri Bottas, Logan Sargent. I'm just looking, did Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, who were running 11th and 12th. I don't think they pitted, but the red flag has really changed the destiny of this race.
Yeah, it has. McLaren's running 9th and 10th now from 13th and, was it 17th?
Red flags used to be very rare in F1. Like, they very rarely ever happened.
Drivers, engineers,
it would be for, like, the heaviest of rain, or, like,
it was a great call, but
like, just huge crashes.
It negates that.
Ted Kravitz, down to you in the pit lane.
Yeah, we'll get onto that quandary, that red flag safety car. Do you pit, don't you pit in a second? But I thought it was interesting. The first thing Lewis Hamilton did was check his front wing. He had been on the radio saying, look, are you sure it's all okay? It took a bit of a hit. Quite a hit, he said, against Max Verstappen. And so it did seem to be intact. George Russell. Poor George. Well, in the end, it wasn't the Dragons that got him, was it, Crofty? It was the vagaries of the red flag system. And I don't know, I mean, the fact that we didn't see more people pit, apart from Sainz and Russell, I think was more to do with that it was too early in the stint, that they wanted to get it a bit longer, those medium tyres into the race, because it was going to be a marginal one stop anyway. You can't go too long on those hard tyres, even though people were going to try it. You know, they're not Mystic Men.
MotoGP red flags are even more rare.
They don't know where the race direction is going to throw the red flag, because the barrier...
Oh, it's due to the gravel on the track from Albon's incident. I guess there's just so much that it would be dangerous to have cars going by while they're picking it up. I can understand it.
It's not worth going around. Yeah, sorry, not safe to go around.
I can give you some information on that, actually, Ted. The red flag is because of the gravel that came back out onto the track, and you could see, actually, the gravel was coming on.
Well, and I can imagine it'd probably take a little bit to clean up just all that gravel, because there was a lot.
The red flag is basically so the track can be swept. Because the last thing you want through some of these high-speed, flat-out curved sections is someone picking up a puncture and going into the barriers again.
Yeah, some people are going to say it's a shitty red flag, but I feel like it's fair.
The red flag was for gravel. We've driven through gravel before.
Yeah, but George Russell's not the race director, Ted. 2 seconds.
Yeah, sorry, George, that screwed us. But let's do the most out of it. We can still go to the front on the podium. Far better.
Yeah, it's not your fault, guys. That was a good call.
Well, it was before the red flag. I always think, let's look at the accident again.
Yeah, it was a hard hit from...
gravel did come out onto the track, and you're going through there at 140 miles an hour, Joe.
Yeah, but you're not under a safety car, so I don't understand why there's a red flag, I have to say, because you just slow down to the incident, the safety car can slow down, and they can shoot down when the cars aren't going past them.
Karun Chandok at Sky Race Control is with us too, and well, we can see more gravel there on the track. It was the strategy call to make for George Russell, but sadly it's been reversed a little bit now, and his teammate is back in the box seat. Karun Chandok at Sky Race Control, can we hear you?
Yes, we can then. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, you could see there George's face tells the story, doesn't it? And he'd done everything right. It was interesting, the back and forth.
I just don't get.
Lewis and Max.
Maybe I don't understand how these races run, but I feel like I don't get how the red flag is going to add any more of a disadvantage to George than it already had.
Yeah, okay. You know, I think back 2 years ago, Crofty. Remember how long those conversations used to go on?
Or do they get to work on their cars during the red flag? Is that different in F1?
The FIA, it's not just gravel on the track down there. There's bits of weight. There's plenty of debris as well that all needs sweeping up. And there would have been an awful lot of laps lost in the race had the sweeper on the track been necessary whilst the cars were going around behind the safety car. So better to get it cleaned up quickly with nobody on the track than go around for lap after lap after lap, etc., etc. See the marshals out on the track there behind the safety car, and we actually lose more laps in this race, which I don't want to do because I'm really enjoying this race. It's been fantastic so far. We are going to get going again in 10 minutes time. There's the sweeper on the track. They can do the job properly.
Yeah, I still agree with myself.
Oh, okay, so you can work on your car during the red flag. That's why. Okay, I was confused at first. I was like, they're not allowed to work on their car, so how would it really cause any disadvantage to George? But
I understand safety-wise as well.
Let's go down to the
no, it makes sense.
Otmar Saf now, the team boss, is with us live this weekend. So we got
I didn't know that.
You'd already pitted Esteban Ocon early in the race.
They're saying that they're going to restart the race at, well, their time, 3:33, so 1:33.
you know, as it turns out, Gasly's now in on a red flag, and he gets a free pit stop.
You wish in NASCAR? No, I don't think you should be able to even touch the car under the red flag. That's a rule that I actually like.
Did you detect any damage on your car?
I think it's kind of bullshit that you... I didn't even know that until literally 2 minutes ago that you could work on your car. I don't think you're allowed to make repairs. Okay, so what I read is that, like, you're allowed to change your tires, but you can't, like, repair accident damage, I don't think.
That you sit here, you know, plus point with Gasly pitting, well, changing tyres under the red flag, minus point with Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, I mean, that's a luck of the draw. We couldn't have predicted this, and you know, it is what it is, and we'll race the end from here.
Hey, it's Jensen here.
Hi, Jensen.
So you guys started on the soft tyre. I think it was a great call. But do you think now everyone's just going to run the hard at the end of the race?
I think so. Yeah, I think us starting on the soft was the right thing to do. If we didn't get a grading phase, it would have lasted 17, 18, 20 laps, and then hard to the end. But I think everyone will go to end now.
So that means you've got enough data from the first 2 days here, even though the conditions were so different, that you can be confident, shall we say, in your predictions there.
Confident enough to try, and then if it doesn't work, we'll pit at the end.
Love it. Omar, thanks ever so much. Great to have you with us. 8 minutes, nearly 7 minutes until the race resumes. Just about time, if you're back in the UK, to put the kettle on, make yourself an early cup of tea, and then get back to the racing again.
Yes, it's going to be interesting because it's a lot of laps still on a set of tyres, and the hard tyre, it's still going to wear. And as we go later into the evening and it cools down even more, they're going to really struggle to keep the core temperature of that tyre, and we might see a lot of locking up and some different strategy calls at that point.
And Zach Kravitz, let's head back down to you in the pit lane.
So other happy people after that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a bullshit rule in my opinion.
But amongst other things, it was for the gravel.
One thing in NASCAR that I do think they should do is they should, when there's a red flag, they should actually stop the cars on pit road. I've never understood why they don't do
This will
that.
play into Fernando Alonso's hands. We'll see what happens in the Hamilton-Verstappen fight in front of him. Lance Stroll 2, Nico Hülkenberg P6, starting 10th on the grid for Haas. Now P6, and let's see what Hülkenberg can do. Do you want to have a look at this replay again, Crofty? Have you got a replay? I've got a replay.
Yeah, no, you carry on, Ted. No, it's just from lap one we're seeing a few
Okay, but he's actually he's changed his front wing. One of a couple of drivers to change their front wings down here in the red flag as well. Maybe they got a clonk early on, or they just thought they'd change the front wings. You can change more or less anything that you can get to quickly under these red flag conditions. Carlos Sainz 11th on the restart. Poor Carlos.
Absolutely. He was keeping Fernando Alonso at bay early on, and Alonso now finds himself in the top three.
Yeah, he was struggling, wasn't he, a little bit behind Carlos?
I mean, the debate will open, Jensen, and the FIA are not afraid to re-examine the regulations, to look at it for the future. Do we allow a free choice of tyre change under a red flag, or do we say no, the race has stopped, that's it? You go back out with what you've got. Let's have a quick listen to this.
Red flag? Red flag? No way. No!
Is everyone okay?
Yeah, copy. I think it might just be barrier damage.
Yeah, it was scary that Williamson was going hard. He couldn't see the car.
Yeah, wild. He's fine, by the way, he's out of the car.
Team radio in the aftermath of the Alex Albon accident, and it looks like we've got a clear track and the debris.
Alright, so yeah, everything's clear.
Well, I'm sure reopen as to whether this is right or fair, or just the luck of the draw, and that's racing.
Yeah, it's been like this for years. I mean, I had a similar issue in Monaco, but that was further into the race. And everyone got free set tyres when I put new tyres on. Yeah. I thought it was going to work for me. So it happens to us all, and sometimes it helps you and sometimes it hinders you. So it is what it is. But I understand the reason for putting new sets of tyres on, because of debris, damage in the tyres possibly. Maybe we could have it that you have to go back out on the same type of tyre that you were on before, but then do they have enough?
They only stop on pit road during rain delay red flags. Yeah, I think it's kind of dumb. Like, I wish they just stopped on pit road. That way the drivers could get out and, like, just talk to their crew.
Last 10 laps as well.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on from that. That still hurts.
You're trying to forget.
Yes. But this is Lewis is probably thinking right now, well, I'm leading the race. This is great. But however, he doesn't.
I mean, I guess it's cool if you're at the race, because then, like, if they stop right in front of you, then it's like, because when I went to Watkins Glen in 2014, they all stopped right on the front stretch, and then they got out of their cars. That was really cool. But honestly, just
lots of chat
stop them on pit road and be smarter.
The end of the race. There's still going to be
And they can get out, take a piss.
You know. Worth remembering, Red Bull are the only team with two new sets of hard tires going into this race. 49 laps of one set in these temperatures, quite a long way. So that set of hard tyres, that extra set, could come in handy for Max Verstappen.
And there is Max Verstappen, sat in the cockpit of his Red Bull. Would you like to sit in the cockpit of the Red Bull? Well, if you're a Sky customer, brand new for 2023, you could do just that. In fact, you can jump on board with any one of the drivers on the grid, or in this case, still left in this race. Watch every session this season from your favourite driver's perspective, and listen to the team radios as well. If you're a Sky Glass and Sky Stream customer, you can watch highlights of the race alongside the live action by pressing the red button. If you want to jump on board, all you need to get started is to download the Sky
people want to
Sports
see
app
you,
on your tablet and use the QR code.
The people want to see you.
For you at some stage too. Log in with your Sky ID. Head to the Sky.
The people of the internet want to see you, Sheena.
You were riding on board with Alex Albon. This is what you have seen live and in real time.
I'm wondering if he actually did some damage to the tyre on the previous corner where he ran wide up against the barrier, because that's a really unusual incident. To lose the rear there, hopefully we'll find out soon enough. I love that you can ride on board.
I love you.
It's so cool, because now we get little clips here of drivers on boards. You can watch a whole lap to get a real understanding of what a driver is doing compared to another.
Such a sweetheart.
Imagine being on board with Lance Stroll at the start of this race and seeing your teammate getting all out of shape at turn 3, and then Charles Leclerc making contact with you too.
I love you.
I mean, that was a scary on board, wasn't it? Yeah. That was through the dust and just missed the rear of the Williams there.
So disappointment then for the Williams team and their new team principal, James Vowles. Logan Sargent still running down in 17th. He pitted under the safety car and lost places as a result, but there will be others like this man here, Nico Hulkenberg, who started 10th, now finds himself running in 6th place.
Yeah, great position, isn't it, for him?
I mean, for George Russell, he's got to try and clear Hulkenberg and Gasly and then see where it takes him after that.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, definitely, but he does have the pace. But coming through the field is a very different thing than leading a race and having good pace. This is a long way on one set of tyres. We all know that Alex Albon did it last year, and it was probably his best race ever. So maybe we'll have a few people walking down the pits to console him, but maybe ask how he did it last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar Piastri sat in his car, celebrating his 22nd birthday next Thursday. The 5th Australian to race in a World Championship Australian Grand Prix, first to do so in their hometown. And you can see the cars waiting to get back out onto the track, and they're all standing in a line at the moment. In 3.2 miles time, they'll all be standing on the grid. Don't forget, it's a standing start for this restart because we've had the red flag. So where we had a Mercedes getting past Max Verstappen at the original start on the inside, this time Verstappen's got.
Is this considered a going back under yellow? I'm just saying it is. I don't know how.
Hard tyre.
I'm going by what NASCAR does.
Struggling to get them working, and they were on the mediums and some were on the soft. So hard tyre.
Like, is right now still considered the red flag, or even though they're moving?
Yeah, the tyres work, and they get to their most sticky by being in the right temperature window. And the difficulty for the drivers is that it's a different temperature window.
So we're gonna have another standing start, so this could get weird and wild.
Ultimate stickiness on the hard is different for the medium, it's different for the soft.
Yeah, so be interesting to see how hard. Well, they actually can't choose how quick they're going to go because they have the safety car in front. So this is probably going to be a slower lap than they would do to the grid because of that, which is going to hurt them also. But can we just say, McLaren 9th and 10th, they finally have a little bit of luck. They've had such a tough start to the year. Now they're both within the points.
And on the hard compound tyre, but behind Nick de Vries has gone on to the medium. So maybe watching out for a faster, potentially, starting AlphaTauri with Nick de Vries. But yeah, Lando and Oscar running in the points. I predicted to a very partisan group of home fans earlier that Oscar would definitely get points today. Just trying to help me, get out, without getting too much shouted at, but it can happen.
Wait, is it more than 10 car lengths? Look, check it.
And he's referring there to, is Lewis Hamilton more than 10 car lengths away from Bernd Maylander in the safety car?
I think the problem is that because they think we're starting on the grid, you suddenly think that you're in control of the lap to grid, but it isn't. It's still a safety car start, so you have to stay close to the safety car.
Yeah, the rule says be within 10 car lengths, and I can't see Bernd Maylander in the safety car at the moment. I dare say Lewis Hamilton might be struggling to see him too. It did look rather a way away. That just shows you sometimes, isn't it, how sharp the minds of a Formula 1 driver is, James?
Yeah, definitely. And Lewis has obviously been given the hurry up, I'm guessing by the team, but I still can't see the safety cars in the pit lane already, as you just saw.
Yeah. So, normally on a formation lap, the driver on pole controls, as you say, how they get to the grid, but this is a race resumption, even though it's a standing start.
The San Diego Padres groundskeeper dancer won't be dancing on the field anymore. I haven't heard of that guy. There's a groundskeeper who dances. Why won't he be doing it anymore? Did they fucking ban it? That'd be stupid.
Except Joe Guan Yu's just gone past 4 cars, and Logan Sargent has gone past 2, and going straight through there. Is that
the hell?
Trying to see who that is. That Kevin Magnussen, who went straight through the gravel.
Well, they're around a blind corner, so they couldn't see it. They're obviously thinking they're going at safety car speed.
That's going to need looking at. I would imagine the race operations centre, the remote operations centre for the FIA will be going through a few angles on that one. We'll keep you posted. It's time to get going again for our second standing starts here. The restart procedure is under investigation. There's the medical car right at the rear. The mechanics have done their job whilst the cars have been in the pit lane. We have been stationary for 16 minutes, and now it's time to get going again.
All right, and green flag's back out.
Alonso's got a decent start too, and he's already trying to go wheel to wheel and now taking evasive action as Verstappen jinks over to the left. Hamilton leads it through for Verstappen and Alonso, and there Pierre Gasly. That looks like George Russell ahead of Lance Stroll. Some very different starts there. Lewis Hamilton gets to turn 3 out in front from Verstappen, from Alonso, and then from Gasly. Behind them comes George Russell Stroll.
Oh!
At the back, and that looks like
George Russell's done. Or, no, that's De Vries. Valtteri Bottas off track.
Trying to get these cars into turn 3. It's very narrow through there. These cars are much bigger than they used to be. But yeah, great start by Lewis. Max not so good off the line again, but Fernando backed out in turn 1. I think they're struggling to get tyre temperature into the Aston Martin.
Verstappen very aggressive in his defence as well, and Alonso with some lightning reactions, and there's Lance Stroll ahead of the Haas of Nico Hülkenberg, who's now running in 7. George Russell up to 5th, so he's got past one Aston Martin. He's got past the Haas as well. That's a much better start by George Russell than those around him. Hamilton leads, Verstappen leads Alonso, Gasly, Russell, Stroll and Hülkenberg. Then Tsunoda up to 8th, Norris, Sainz and Piastri, who's lost a place and is now under pressure from Joe Guan Yu. Behind them comes Esteban Ocon, Kevin Magnussen and Logan Sargent. Perez down to 16th still, De Vries now down to 17th, and Bottas running plumb last with Albon and Leclerc out of this race. As they cross the line, the gap between the leader and the man in second place, 9/10 of a second. Sainz has a look at Norris, nothing doing there. Same with Magnussen on Ocon.
Yeah, but last sector of Lewis Hamilton was 3/10 up on Max Verstappen, so he's definitely got in the groove, and we can see what we can do now with that car.
Carlos Sainz goes down the inside on Lando Norris, who I think saw him coming and realised that was a fight that he was not going to win, and Carlos Sainz moves up into 9th place.
Here we are, the replay of the start. It all looks pretty simple initially, and then you see George get a really good run once he gets into second gear. Oh, who was that being forced off?
Sergio Perez had a great start down the inside, and then lost out on places as he rather got boxed in.
Yeah, and we're down into turn 3 now. We're going to try and find out who was flying, or who forced the car to fly through the air on the exit here.
Down at the bottom of your screen, it was Esteban Ocon who made contact with Nick De Vries. We can see what it looked like on board with the Alpha Tauri.
Yeah, to me that looked like that was George Russell, and it looked like he got a lot more damage, but it was Nick De Vries, and I mean, he's got some damage, but I'm sure, I don't think that'll be the end of it.
Esteban Ocon's Alpine, and he did try and back out of it. I'm not quite sure where he was going to go there to avoid any contact.
It was a personal decision.
I think Ocon was definitely not in the wrong there. I think De Vries thought he didn't have anyone on his left-hand side.
At 0.3 of a second on the previous lap, where Max Verstappen was slower than Hamilton in the final sector, Verstappen made it up on the last lap, and now the gap is just 0.6 of a second. And the worry for Lewis Hamilton, who's leading here in Melbourne for the first time since 2018, is that Verstappen's now got DRS. And with that gap in the rear wing, you can see how the gap between the lead car and the car in second is closing as they go through the gears and up to about 190 miles an hour at this stage and heading towards turn 9 and 10. Verstappen trying to go around the outside of Lewis.
Oh, here comes Verstappen. Max Verstappen takes the lead.
To turn 9, such was the pace of the Red Bull with the DRS. We have a new race leader. He's the man who started on pole originally in this race. It's Max Verstappen.
And he still had the DRS after turn 9 and 10, so was able to get even more of a gap on Lewis. So I'm amazed at how much these two have pulled away from the rest of the field. So Lewis is on it as well. He's got some good pace in that car.
Absolutely. Lewis Hamilton's last lap, a 1:23.4. Fernando Alonso in third, a 1:24.6. As Alonso taking a bit more time to bring these hard tyres into the sticky window, as it were.
Yeah, definitely. He's actually got a little bit of pressure from the cars behind. But to look at the lead that Max has already pulled out.
Well, disappearing off into an Australian sunset is Max Verstappen. And look, we know that Red Bull's got pace. We know the DRS is effective. But just look how effective it is here. This is one of the more easier overtakes Max Verstappen has ever had on Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, it was easy, wasn't it? I mean, it's such a long straight there, and DRS open for a very long time. But yeah, it was
aided, of course, by the headwind on that straight, which gives you a bit more of an advantage. But oh dear, a bit like Jeddah.
George is going to have a run now at Gasly in exactly the same place as Max overtook Lewis.
George Russell trying to get back towards the top of the field where he was leading this race at the early stages and can't quite get wheel to wheel with Gasly. He's almost pushing him along, going through turns 9 and 10. Now he's got DRS once more, as has Stroll behind him. Gasly's under pressure from 1 and 2 cars here as George Russell makes the move, and Lance Stroll just has to sit behind him. Russell up to 4th, Gasly in 5th, Stroll currently 6th, but for how much longer can Pierre Gasly hang on here?
Yeah, it was a lot more difficult, wasn't it, for George to get past? The DRS is nowhere near as efficient as the Red Bull.
No further investigation. Nick De Vries and Esteban Ocon. It's a racing incident, say our stewards. It's 2.5 seconds. Max Verstappen's lead out in front. Then from Fernando Alonso and George Russell, Pierre Gasly keeping Lance Stroll at bay. Carlos Sainz gaining now on Nico Hülkenberg as Sergio Perez tries to make some moves at the rear of the field. That's Logan Sargent on his left. That's Logan Sargent now behind him. Perez now up into 15th.
That was a lovely move because it wasn't really DRS aided because Logan Sargent had DRS. A late move there by Checo. He seems to have sorted his braking problem now.
So Nico Hülkenberg behind Carlos Sainz. Sainz in 7th place here and getting after Lance Stroll. One Ferrari left in this race. We'll never know how Charles Leclerc's race would have panned out, but Carlos Sainz trying to make it a better finish to this race for the Scuderia than it was right at the start. From the heady shot we can see that Pierre Gasly has just got a bit more of an advantage here over Lance Stroll, because I think after being overtaken by Russell, Gasly's used the DRS behind Russell to improve his pace.
Yeah, you know, the DRS is going to help you in some places, but then you also get hurt because you're so close to the car in front in the high-speed corners.
And of course, that's also affecting Lance Stroll and probably Carlos Sainz and probably Nico Hülkenberg too. But you might lose a place there, Pierre Gasly, but it's keep within that DRS range of the Mercedes in front. Long term, that might help you a bit. I hate to say this, because there's always a long way to go, Jensen, but it's all over by the shouting, isn't it, out in front. Max Verstappen's pace is red hot.
Well, because his pace is so good, he can get to a point where he can just go, hang on, I'm just going to take it easy. I'm going to look after the tyres, look after the car. But let's hope that doesn't happen.
Down the inside once more goes Carlos Sainz. It was Lando Norris. This time it's Lance Stroll. Carlos Sainz, who was out on lap 2 in last year's race, is making up for that disappointment by having an absolute stormer on the restart here. He's up into 6th place. He's past Hulkenberg and he's now past the Aston Martin too.
He's super fast. He's the second fastest car on the track, only a tenth slower than Max Verstappen. So he is on it. It's great to see him aggressive, making these aggressive moves into turn 3.
And I mentioned Lando Norris getting passed by Carlos Sainz. Norris has now got past He's got Oscar Piastri right behind him. And on board in the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. He has the hats of Kevin Magnussen to his right-hand side, and there's another place for Checo, who started last here in 2012, finished 8th in that race, and last in that day was 22nd on the grid. So he knows what it's like.
Does the Red Sox have a dancer on the field? I don't think so.
He's got more performance in this car than he did back then.
That's right. So nobody's catching Verstappen. Yeah, I mean he's already pulled out to a 3.5-second lead.
Piastri was a bit more dodging than dodging.
Yeah, I don't think he. Well, if he did know he was there, he didn't realise the width of his car.
Yes, they are fairly wide, these cars, and a bit too wide at that particular moment. So, Fernando Alonso still sat behind Lewis Hamilton at 1.3 seconds. Hamilton keeping Alonso at bay currently. George Russell gaining.
And I don't think they have to pit again. I think they can make it to the end on these hards.
Very much a kick to both
If I'm mistaken.
Russell and to Alonso, who's now just set the fastest first sector in this race so far. Carlos Sainz is lapping about half a second quicker than Pierre Gasly.
And 2/10 quicker than Max Verstappen.
And yeah, everyone has pitted, obviously besides the player, because
flying out there at the moment.
he
So,
was
I was talking to Lauren Mekies, the sporting director of Ferrari,
out on the first lap.
Today, and I said, you're struggling for grip in Jeddah. Is there a theory that you're quite behind on your tyres? And maybe these hot
Jaden! Jaden, are you still here? Jaden!
Struggles with him, and he just smiled at me and said that's one theory. It might pay dividends, these temperatures for us today, as Perez goes for another move, this time on Zhou Guanyu, and this time it's up to
What's up, Jaden?
to the corner. Sergio Perez is making
yeah, it's nice to see that we do have
Yo,
a bit
Jaden,
of
I gotta
DRS
tell you
rate
something.
all
So,
the way down the field.
earlier,
So the moves,
after I ended the stream for the Xfinity race,
that we're seeing, which is what
the my lights, so I had them, like you saw on the stream, they were working perfectly fine, and they worked perfectly fine, and then when I ended the stream, I put it back to the purple lights, and it was blinking, like it was like doing this like flickering shit. It was so weird, like it wasn't like flashing as intensely as like the flashing lights do, but it was like flickering and blinking. It was really weird. But luckily I had like other cords, so then I just plugged those in and it fixed it. Isn't that amazing?
Lewis was right. The sporting regs do say that the first car in line behind the safety car may dictate the pace, and if necessary, fall more than 10 car lengths behind the safety car. So Lewis was right and Max was had the wrong interpretation of those rules. So I'm surprised to hear that they're not taking any further investigation of all those cars getting involved in slowing each other down and going off the track, but looks like not.
Nice one, Ted. Glad you had a chance to read the sporting regulations this afternoon to keep us all abreast of that one. Out in front, Max Verstappen has just increased his lead a little bit as he crosses the line to start lap 18 of this race at 1:22.5. Alonso's got DRS and Lewis Hamilton 3.3 seconds out in front. And what's this? That is a car on fire.
That's George Russell. He's on fire. And that could be at least virtual safety car.
Power unit issue for George Russell, who needs to stop that car, pull over into a safe place.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be. That's gonna be a.
Russell, who was leading the early stages of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, just get out, get out, get out.
And Jensen Button, you know what it's like when a car catches fire and you're hoping.
That's gonna be at least virtual safety car.
Coming at the last corner, right at a 5 at the end of the race. I think he was in 5th as well. So, yeah, tough one for George. What was so promising? It's game over so earlier.
Pit road is closed.
Has been deployed, so Bert Mylander stays where he is for a moment.
I think pit road is closed because
Reduced by 40%.
it would be an unsafe exit because of this car at the end.
Drive to a time. Must not go faster than on your
I think that's. I don't think they always do that.
The problem emerged. There is losing power. Gasly goes past him.
Well, I know they don't always do that.
Game over.
I think they just do it when it's like dangerous.
You can see the smoke coming out onto the track. Could George Russell have come into the pits?
Well, I'm sure he wanted to, but he couldn't because he had Stroll on the right-hand side near the entry. So, yeah, it's a tough one for a driver because he knows there's something wrong now. He can see the flames out of the exhaust, but he also doesn't want to stop on the track.
Exactly. He has at least pulled it over into a safer position.
I'm glad he's out.
Let's have a listen.
Glad that car didn't like blow up. That'd be fucking gnarly, and not in a good way.
It sounds okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the combustion engine because it did sound fine. It was going through the revs okay, wasn't it? It did struggle when he downshifted into turn 11. He had a bit of oversteer there, so that was part of it.
Maybe some sort of leak, and then it gets onto the hot exhaust, and well, retirement is inevitable. That was George Russell's first mechanical retirement since he joined Mercedes. He had the crash on lap 1 at Silverstone last year, and his race has crashed here from the early hope to the dismay and sorrow of a retirement because of an engine issue. Virtual safety car is ending quickly down to 10.
The way George Russell's
all right, coming back green.
As he's walking towards me in the pits.
Green flag.
He didn't trip over one of the wheel guns. Poor George Russell, terrible luck. It does. When it came past me in 2 seconds, Ted.
Yeah, copy those. Yeah. No, just make it all the way to the end. Yeah, we're planning for all eventualities.
But a couple of laps, Ted, behind the virtual safety car might just have helped. We go racing again. Finish what you were saying, Ted.
As it came up, I think it might have well have been a leak, Crofty, because when it came past the pit straight, it sounded like a rocket going past.
Thanks, Ted. I'm sure you'll be on the case down at Mercedes. Sergio Perez is on the case of Esteban Ocon. He's right behind him as he tries to make his way to the fringes of the top 10. DRS is enabled because it was a virtual safety car, and we don't have to wait 2 laps. And Fernando Alonso, who was just starting to really show his pace behind Lewis Hamilton, is starting to edge ever nearer.
Yeah, I think the cooling of the tyres probably has helped these guys quite a bit. We know that, well, it seems that the Aston Martin is struggling a little bit more to turn them on. So Lewis might have a couple of laps to rest a little bit and not be looking at his mirrors.
Well, he's now gone out of DRS range. Has Fernando Alonso. He's over a second behind Lewis Hamilton. You're right, that's exactly what happened in the
Wait, does DRS get disabled after
restart?
Virtual safety cars or just full safety cars?
Yeah, Carlos Sainz is within DRS of Gasly and P4.
Yeah, Gasly reaching P3 for the first time here. It's an absolute boost for him, running in the top 4 for his new team. But how much longer can he stay there? His teammates under threat, as you can see, even with DRS.
Okay, so yeah, it gets DRS gets disabled like 2 laps for 2 laps after a safety car, but after a virtual safety car, it's immediate. So they do have DRS.
He was thinking about it, wasn't he? And then they realised, well, maybe it's a little bit late and a bit aggressive to make that move right now.
So Verstappen leads by 2.5 seconds. Hamilton's just reduced that lead since the restart. There's the train of cars heading down the pit straight, led by Yuki Tsunoda. Oscar Piastri running in the points in his home Grand Prix is currently 10th. Then comes Ocon, then Perez. And Joe Guan Yu a little bit further away at the back. The pit lane entry is now open.
I'm gonna hit the blunt, real weed, and a weed pen at the same time.
Struggling to really get on the back of Tsunoda, even with the DRS, which is surprising.
Yeah, Tauri has a new floor. Prix running that new floor. Yuki Tsunoda damaged really went off. He's running a fairly decent race at the moment. Is car number 22. Decent. 11th, by the way, in the last 3 races.
Oh, lovely move from Checo into turn 9. Oh, he's on it. I love Checo when he's in this move.
Yeah.
He should start in the back more often.
I don't think he wants to, though, quite frankly. Up ahead, Piastri and Tsunoda scrapping away. All that's doing is allowing Sergio Perez to get ever closer and to maybe pick up the pieces. But Esteban Ocon has been bypassed.
Be cool to see Checo get a point at least.
Checo Perez, and the stewards have said no further action. Tsunoda and Piastri for that little tangle we saw a couple of laps ago. So, lap 22 out of 58. Tsunoda, Piastri, Perez and Ocon. Very, very close. It was Ocon and Perez before this. Down at turn 9, you can see the Alpine harvesting, getting some energy in, and Sergio Perez saw a gap, needed no further introduction, and there he went.
He's lucky that Ocon was looking in his mirrors, though, wasn't he? Oh, into that corner, you're doing not quite 200 miles an hour, but you're not far off.
You spent all weekend urging these drivers to look in their mirrors, Jensen, but they're obviously listening to you. Here comes Carlos Sainz on Pierre Gasly. Gasly stays ahead, but for how much longer now? Because there's more DRS coming Sainz's way. What's Gasly got to defend with? As we see the traffic jams on a Sunday afternoon to the left-hand side of the drivers, and a bit of a traffic
It was a
jam
flip at a drag racing event in
holding
Panama.
on Sainz, Lance Stroll right behind them too.
Like, how bad was it?
Gasly is fighting a super little race here at the moment.
He is. I don't think any of us expected him to be up in Q4 at this point of the race.
Yeah, for a man 9th in both races so far in 2023. Sergio Perez has won a race in 2023. There's Oscar Piastri on his left-hand side. There's Oscar Piastri in his wing mirrors now. Perez using that DRS to his advantage.
Everybody drop a like on the stream. I'd really appreciate it.
From the pit lane to the points, and we're not even at half race distance. And still Gasly keeps Sainz at bay.
So Piastri also had DRS then, just like Checo, and they had that speed difference.
How are Red Bull exploiting DRS more than other teams?
Yeah.
Is it just on their engine is more powerful?
I did, bro. I did. Jaden, you're a good man.
Yeah, I think the McLaren's pretty draggy. When you compare it to, Tsunoda in front, he hasn't got near to him, even though Piastri's had DRS.
That's a very fair point indeed. As once again, Carlos Sainz gets closer to Pierre Gasly, but the Alpine seems to have a little less drag too, and is keeping the Ferrari at bay. Oh look, there goes Sergio Perez again.
Was that a car he just looked at?
It was Yuki Tsunoda. Perez up into 9th now. Lando Norris next on the road. He's pushing hard on tyres that they hope will go to the end of the race for Sergio Perez, making up for lost time, and still we're not even at half race distance yet. With Max Verstappen, Perez's teammate, now over 4 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton in 2nd place. Nothing doing on that DRS zone for Carlos Sainz. We've got 4 of them to help the drivers here. We might need a 5th to try and get past the Alpine.
Yeah, it's interesting. See, Gasly's doing a really good job. He's only 1.8 seconds behind Fernando Alonso, who's actually dropped back from Lewis. So Gasly's closer to Alonso than Alonso is to Hamilton.
Yeah, you just wonder, is Alonso just backing off, saving his tyres for a little push, thinking, look, we're never going to get to Max Verstappen, but if I just hold back a bit, don't run in the turbulent air of Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes, I can attack him in the latter stages.
Yeah, we've seen it from Fernando before. The first few laps he's aggressive and he tries to get the move done, and if he can't get it done...
Yeah, so Sergio Perez is now in 9th.
Absolutely what he did in
after he got past Piastri and Tsunoda.
Fernando Alonso so far in his Aston Martin career. He's got a 3rd place on the cards at the moment, maybe quite like a 2nd. He became the 6th driver in Formula 1 to reach 100 podiums, and was saying that his 101st podium is going to be a win, because every other driver that got to 101 did it with a win. That's exactly what what Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso will want to hear. Chandok is at Sky Race Control as we head into turn 1, and Gasly still keeps Carlos Sainz at bay.
Yeah, Fernando Alonso's been on the radio saying to his team, look, there's a long way to go. One Ferrari out, one Mercedes out, we're in a good position. Let's play the long game. And that is in reaction, as we see Carlos Sainz got the...
Sainz this time making a move into turn 3, and he has got Pierre Gasly.
That was good. That was a good move. Risky, but good. Carlos Sainz got past Pierre Gasly.
And it can stride forward. That was a decent move, Jensen.
Aggressive, here we go. Oh, he dummied him. Oh, what a beautiful move. That's just puts a big smile on your face seeing a move like that in F1. That's aggressive. That's taking a big risk.
Spun out of last year's Australian Grand Prix on lap 2.
Hi, Austin. How are you doing?
Moments in the Australian Grand Prix 2023, and rather brutally interrupted Karun Chandok, so we can go back to Sky Race Control.
No, that was fine. The other thing I was going to say was Sainz was the Alpine was in a straight line. We've seen, haven't we? Even last year, and that's why he had to go aggressive to get the move done. But yeah, back to the action.
We are seeing it again here with Esteban Ocon. So Oscar Piastri thinks, I'd rather need to get past Yuki Tsunoda here just to protect myself a little bit. And, well, Ocon is all over the rear wing of that McLaren. Piastri in Jeddah was fighting with his teammate Logan Sargent. Today he's fighting in the points with that car there, Yuki Tsunoda, and that pink car there, Esteban Ocon. So, with some DRS, can Piastri make a move going into turn 1? They would love that in the packed grandstands. As into turn 1 we go now, and Tsunoda just holds on out in front. And now that he's cleared Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz lapping over a second a lap faster than that Alpine. This is the battle for 10th. Oscar Piastri looks down the inside, couldn't throw the dummy and couldn't make the move.
It's so frustrating you don't have that straight line speed to make the move, because he's obviously a lot faster. His teammate Lando Norris is up in P8 and lapping quite a bit quicker, almost a second quicker than these guys.
Has to be said though, for McLaren, last in the Constructors' Championship and pointless in the first 2 races of the season, this is a much better race for them, at least running in the points. As here goes Esteban Ocon on Oscar Piastri. He's going to try and go the long way round, and there's almost 3 abreast going into that corner. Piastri tries to defend it, but the straight line speed of that Alpine gives Esteban Ocon a few miles an hour more, and he makes the move around the outside at turn 10 and up into 11th place.
Yeah, I mean, when they're looking at making improvements to that McLaren, there's a lot they want to do, but I think efficiency has to be one of them, because that was extraordinary to see a car that much quicker when they both have DRS. But yeah, it's good to see that the pace is there in the car, though. Lando's lapping at a very good pace. He's lapping the same as Carlos Sainz.
Well, we saw Lando Norris in the latter stages in Bahrain showing a bit more race pace too. He was trying to unlap himself that particular occasion. But you're right, it's a good pace from Lando Norris, 122.4, almost the same as Fernando Alonso on the last lap, who started to close the gap on Lewis Hamilton again, and Hamilton's now just set personal best in the first sector as he tries to respond to it.
It's such a difficult point of the race. I mean, if you're fighting with a car in front, yeah, you give it your all because you want to get past them. But if you're in clear air, it's like, do I push? Do I not? You know, there's so many laps to go, and they don't really know this tyre yet. They haven't done many laps on it.
So Verstappen and Hamilton and Alonso in the top 3. Carlos Sainz now 2 seconds behind Fernando Alonso. There goes Esteban Ocon on Yuki Tsunoda. Ocon now into the points, pushes Yuki Tsunoda into 11th. I get excited about that only because Tsunoda's done the last 3 races in 11th place. If he finishes 11th today, Jensen, equals the record.
Well, that's
the most
lovely.
consecutive finishes in a single place other than first. It's a pointless record.
It is a pointless record.
It's a record nonetheless.
And it's not a record that he's going to want to keep.
No. You never know, he might even make it 5. You know, he could be the outright holder. That was a super mover from the Alpine of Esteban Ocon. Meanwhile, Sainz had a puff of smoke from the rear of that Ferrari.
I think that was curb. I'm going to say that was curb, touching the curb at the bottom of the car.
Let us certainly hope so. Nearly 7 seconds, the gap out in front. Want to mention the man in 7th place at the moment, Nico Hülkenberg, who's running a super race, very much keeping Lando Norris at bay, making that 7th place all his own, and the Haas not falling back at the moment as it has done in the previous 2 races this year.
No, he's doing a great job. I mean, 22.2 the last lap. He's only a tenth off of Lewis's last lap in second place, a little bit quicker than Fernando Alonso. Interestingly, Carlos Sainz got past Pierre Gasly, but he's not pulling away. They're doing the same lap time at this moment in time, and Gasly's only 7 tenths behind him.
So let's head down to Ted Kravitz. What have we got for us, Ted?
Well, a couple of things, but they're all closing up on Fernando Alonso ahead, aren't they? So, yeah, combination of the drag reduction system being so powerful for the pink for the pink Alpine there. By the way, it's the last time we're going to see the pink car this year.
It is.
It goes back to blue. It's a bit disappointing, especially if you've got girls like me at home. My daughters love the pink car.
Do they?
Well, of course they do.
Excellent.
But yeah, I don't know whether Carlos Sainz does actually have a problem, or whether it's just the power of the DRS for the Aston Martin and the Alpine behind. But also, Lando Norris has been told not to fight Sergio Perez too much if and when he comes and challenges him from behind. Just think about your own race. That's the instructions to Lando.
Yeah, don't sacrifice what could be 9th place by fighting it too hard, ruining your tyres, and finishing outside of the points.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one for a driver when a car's coming up behind. So they go, oh yeah, I'm going to make it easy for this guy, but he's not racing him realistically.
So Lewis Hamilton, who before the virtual safety car was coming under increasing pressure from Fernando Alonso, has had that 2-second buffer pretty much ever since. Is Alonso starting to make a little push now though? Reduce that gap to 1.9 seconds as here goes Oscar Piastri round the outside of Yuki Tsunoda.
Oscar Piastri gets past Tsunoda.
Up into 11th place. Nice one, Oscar. You see the billboards around the town deserving of an Oscar. Well, yeah, we'll give him an award for that overtake, shall we?
Well, now we're going to see what the local boy can do, because that's been the most frustrating 20 laps of his career, I would say.
Absolutely ruined my stat now. Tsunoda's running 12. Which I'm sure he won't give a hoot about, but he'll have a hoot at this. Wheel to wheel around Albert Park, where he appeared here as a grid kid in 2015 for Daniel Kvyat in the Toro Rosso.
What's that flash?
Became the AlphaTauri.
Like, I don't see it in real life, but it's on the camera.
That day, because Kvyat broke down on the way to the grid, and the grid kid was left stranded with no one to be a grid kid for. He pretty much left the AlphaTauri stranded there as well.
Yeah, he's laughing now, hey?
Exactly.
Okay. But he also just did his personal best lap that lap. He had the help of the DRS, but still, 22.6.
You know who's also just done their personal best lap in this race? Max Verstappen. He's only 8 seconds out in front now. He's a full second clear of Lewis Hamilton. Yes. Doesn't even need the DRS sometimes. That is. I saw Max last night and looked calmer than I've seen him pre-match, as it were, pre-race, as if he knew exactly the pace, the potential of that Red Bull. And, you know, we saw him doing the early stages here, not wanting to get tangled up in incidents where he might get damaged, let the other car go, because he knows that he's got the machinery to get him back.
I would say that was a very different Max at the start of this race. He was very calm, he was more calculated in terms of, you know what, I'm not going to fight this. You know, I know the pace of my car, and it's worked out for him. It's not what we want to see. We want to see the action, but he did the right thing.
That said, even though Hamilton is 8 seconds behind, this has been a very fine drive from driver and from team as well. This is a much improved Mercedes in these conditions here today, and a Mercedes that the team say is going to change quite a lot in the coming races as they try different concepts to find their way more consistently back up the grid again. Fernando Alonso 1.4 seconds behind Hamilton at the end of the last lap. He's starting to make that charge a little bit more consistently towards him. We're on board with Joe Guan Yu, hunting down 12th place. Kareem Chandok's at Sky Race Control, watching what?
Yeah, I've just been scanning across a few different drivers. I've just been scanning across a few different driver radios, Doctor, and I think quite a few of them are thinking of another stop, because they're talking about flap angles for a pit stop, they're talking about front left opening up for Sergio Perez, as we see Joe Guan Yu not quite getting past, but yeah. So this race, strategically, isn't yet settled. There's another round of pit stops coming up, I think, probably in the next 10 laps or so.
And I think we're seeing it here, aren't we? Yuki Tsunoda, I think, is starting to lose grip on those hard compound tyres, even with the DRS advantage that Joe's got. Tsunoda looks to be struggling a bit, and if he's struggling, others might be too.
Does Joe have traffic behind him? because he's doing very unusual lines there, or he's trying to cool the car down.
Magnussen,
Okay, that's what I meant. But they're going quicker every lap. You know, they're still punching in purple sectors. A lot of them are doing personal bests as well. What I love seeing is we have 5 different teams in the top 5 positions.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It's, and you have 6. You actually have 7 out of the top 8.
Yeah.
Carry that on a little bit. They spend all this money to develop very, very different cars, and then we have that variety. Brilliant.
Number 22, just keeps trying to push you to use your tyres. Let's not fall for it.
Okay, that makes perfect sense if you're a race engineer.
Yeah.
But from the driver's perspective,
When you've never driven a racing car before, it's easy, yeah. But he's keeping Lewis calm. He's doing the right thing, yeah. I think Lewis Lewis understands Fernando well. You know, they've been teammates. They've been racing against each other for years, so he's controlling the pace really well.
and you've been teammates with both of them, of course,
I have, yes.
and you know the strengths of both.
And Bono's been my engineer, so I've
Correct.
worked with all 3 of them.
Oh, it's like a little button family tree.
Yeah, it's weird,
Coming
isn't
out
it?
here. What I would say is that Alonso's now down to 1.2 seconds, and Mike Prack is smiling today on that Aston Martin pit wall. I rather think he's enjoying this race. Sergio Perez now sets the new fastest lap of the race. He's getting closer to Lando Norris, but not in the DRS range yet. 9th place from the pit lane, pulled off more overtakes than anyone.
Well, you've got to think Checo would have pushed his tyres harder than what Max has. So this kind of shows that Max is maybe cruising a little bit. He's trying to be consistent out there in the car.
Have there been any big wrecks or retirements?
Wants to have the option.
Yeah. On the first lap, Charles Leclerc spun, and I'm sorry I missed your comment for a few minutes, but yeah, he spun on the first lap into the gravel and wasn't able to get out, so he's out of the race. And then Alex Albon hit the wall, spun out, hit the wall hard, and left a bunch of gravel on the track that caused a red flag. That was a pretty hard hit, but he got out. He's all right. And then George Russell caught on fire. That caused a virtual safety car. And Leclerc's also caused a safety car.
We think they would struggle with the tyres they have available.
Yeah, they do want to try and get to the end. I mean, they're going to ask 49 laps of these hard tyres, aren't they, Crofty?
Yeah.
When they were only targeting 35, 40-ish.
And we've used a few behind the virtual safety car, don't forget, but you're right, performance-wise, they're still stretching it.
Definitely. So, yeah, whether it's Fernando Alonso, and, you know, you can't get 2 more wily operators than Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. This fight is nowhere near over.
Carlos Sainz, meanwhile, is starting to go a bit faster than Fernando Alonso. I'd rather get the feeling that if Bono was to come on and talk about Alonso to Lewis now, it wouldn't be, don't fall for it, they're trying to push you. It'd be, yeah, he's going to have to get the hurry up because Carlos Sainz is catching in behind.
Well, the next 4 cars are actually catching behind. Even Hulk. The Hulk's done a 21.7. Yeah, it's surprising to see so many cars able to do the same lap time out there.
And that might start a bit of a strange chain reaction out there because Lewis is going to have to go a little bit faster and push those tyres a little bit more, whether he wants to or not. Because Alonso's having to, because Sainz is pushing him, because Gasly's pushing him, and a lot of pushing going on.
There's a lot of pushing, yeah. Stroll's just dropped away a little bit, but Gasly, 21.7, 7/10 behind Sainz. He is holding on nicely, and he's got that DRS behind him.
But do some of these cars need to pit again? That's the thing. Can they go to the end, or are we going to see, with these improved times, the necessity to pit once more? That just throws the race wide open again.
Well, the problem is you can drive slower and you can look after your tyres, but then you're not putting pressure on the guy in front of you, so he can relax and look after his tyres. So it's like, well, I might as well just push and see if I can push him into a mistake or for him to burn his tyres out more than myself.
The only person, of course, who's not thinking about this whatsoever is the one right out in front, Max Verstappen. I don't really think he's pushing, and he's still extending his gap out in front. Here's a nice little scrap going on. We got the Haas there of Kevin Magnussen with ahead of him Yuki Tsunoda, ahead of him Zhou Guanyu. This might be a minor scrap and a battle for 12th place, but points aren't too far away if others have troubles. And is Tsunoda going for it, I wonder? No, not quite. Because I think Magnussen, yeah, no, Tsunoda was trying to stay ahead there of Kevin Magnussen, and Magnussen was having absolutely none of it, dived down the inside and got himself ahead then of the AlphaTauri. Good move.
So Tsunoda crossed the start and finish line at the same time as Joe. So Joe obviously made a move on him in turn 1, and now Kevin's got past him as well. So Tsunoda's lost 2 places this lap.
Yeah. To lose 1 might be unfortunate. To lose 2 could be considered as carelessness, if I can quote Lady Grant this early hour of a Sunday morning. If you're watching us back in the UK, Daniel Ricciardo watching the action. He's seen Charles Leclerc go out on the first lap, turn 3. He's heard the cheers as the crowd in Albert Park see his face on the screen. He's seen Alex Albon head out of this race, the high-speed accident that caused a red flag. George Russell was leading the race until he pitted just before the red flag. It relegated him to 7th. He was making his way back up through the field again before what looked like a power unit issue, and certainly flames coming from the back of that Mercedes caused him to retire. Max Verstappen started the restart behind Lewis Hamilton, quickly overtook him and has not been seen since. Fernando Alonso is keeping Lewis Hamilton very keen. Sainz, Gasly and Stroll keeping Alonso keener still. Ted Gravitz, down to you.
Just a couple of things. Confirmation from Mercedes that wasn't a leak. It was just a plain power unit failure, Crofty. And the other thing, Yuki Tsunoda does have a problem. He is managing a problem, which might explain his pace. He's been told by his engineers, look, this is what we have with the problem, and we just have to play with the tools, the engineer says, to try and get some more pace out of the car.
Do we know what that problem might be?
No, we don't. They're not broadcasting it on the radio, but Yuki's been complaining about the car, and the engineer's saying, look, that's just what we have, I'm afraid, today.
Down. Never going to finish all that.
No, he's not. They're,
so look at Magnussen again then.
Oh, wow. That was impressive, Kevin. I think Joe was more thinking about what was happening behind, and it looked like he actually braked early.
Into the pits comes Logan Sargent for another tyre change. And interestingly, going back out on the hard compound tyre.
Yeah, he was on the medium tyre. His pace wasn't quite there. I think he was dropping back from the Magnussen Tsunoda group. I think it was about 10 seconds back.
Logan Sargent about to go a lap down
of him, and he's just pumped in his best lap.
Just saw Max Verstappen.
Verstappen just put his fastest lap up.
There's Lewis Hamilton running a really impressive
and the fastest lap of the race.
Him, Fernando Alonso has just been told. If
no, then Hamilton did it.
5 places in this race. There are 22 laps to go.
So now Hamilton has it.
Was given out. There are 21 laps to go now. We can see.
As he's just set the fastest lap of the race.
I'm about to say, we can see where Alonso's gaining on Hamilton. Hamilton's now just had to set the fastest lap of the race to keep himself more than a second ahead of Fernando Alonso. You get the feeling is managing that fine line between helping the tyres not get disturbed by turbulent air, not to brain up and destroy the tyres, but also push Lewis as much as he can to hopefully do the same to Lewis in return.
Well, and likewise, Lewis is trying to look after the tyres, but then he doesn't want Fernando to get within a second of him and get the benefit of the DRS. So now there's a proper chess match going on, which is great.
And it's a chess match that is all taking place at about 180 miles an hour through some corners, and trying to think your way strategically, Jensen, whilst all that is going on at high speed, is a proper skill.
No, it is. And at what point are the teams or the drivers going to say, hang on, we're going to need a new set of tyres? So the strategists will be flat out working out the degradation and where the tyres are at this moment in time, where they think they'll be in some 10-15 laps time.
This is the bit where, the driver's told, the strategists say you've got to stay out, and the driver responds with, you tell the strategist to come and drive the car then.
Exactly. None of them have ever driven an F1 car, but yeah, it's a funny one.
Jack Doohan not had the best of weekends, I don't think, in F2. I was reading some articles, but he's smiling away in that Alpine garage. His team boss, Otmar Safnauer, is on the pit wall. Otmar, gotta say, Pierre Gasly driving a proper cracking little race here today.
Yeah, I'd say the same. There's still a bit to go, though, Crofty. It's not over, and hopefully we can stay there.
Oh my, do you think they're all playing a game here in terms of trying to look after the tyres, but trying to get into the DRS zone at the same time? Because it's amazing how similar all the lap times are of the top 7.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think you pit now and you lose way too many positions to make it back up by the end. So I think everyone's conserving to the end.
So everyone conserving to the end. How confident are you, as we watch Pierre Gasly here, that you can stay in this bunch until the end?
Well, you're trying to make me predict, Crofty, in about 18 laps we'll know. But that's exactly what we're going to try to do.
I'm just cheekily asking, just between you, me, and a few tens of millions of people around the world, can these tyres go to the end on your car?
If nobody else is listening, Crofty, yes, they can.
Oh, well, thank you. Refreshingly honest as well. Carlos Sainz in the car up ahead. These tyres can go to the end for Pierre Gasly.
Gasly's in a lovely position. He has the DRS on Sainz, so he's gaining the time on the straights, so he can take it a little bit easier in the corners.
So Sainz obviously hasn't got that DRS. He needs to start extending his pace and stretching his pace to get within that second of Fernando Alonso, who's stretching his pace to try and get within that second of Lewis Hamilton, who is keeping Alonso at bay. But do you rather get the feeling that we're just in this jabbing session for the next 10 laps or so?
Yeah, I mean, I know that we want to see more of a taking right now. You know, that's what racing's all about. But this I love. I love this mind games thing and looking after the car and pushing at certain times when you have to. And it's really interesting to see that the Alpine is the one that's actually pressing the Ferrari now. It was the other way around 15-20 laps ago.
Max Verstappen out in the lead. Lewis Hamilton second. Fernando Alonso third. Hamilton has just been on the team radio saying there's no way I'm losing out to him. I think he's talking about Fernando Alonso at this stage.
He did.
Not to Max Verstappen.
Did he say that?
I'm told he did.
Oh, I love this.
There is a healthy respect between Lewis and Fernando, but on this track, you know, where the rivalry all started, you know, both want to be the top dog over the other, and I absolutely love that. And I love the fact that we're seeing them quite close on the track together as well.
Well, this is the dream. This is what we all wanted, right? To have all the world champions at the front of the field. And we have that. First, second, third.
Don't we just? Carlos Sainz still hanging on in fourth, with Pierre Gasly right behind him. And as we head now down towards turn 9 and 10, that quick flick left and then right, past the Button Grandstand, Ted Kravitz has more news for us.
McLaren, down at McLaren, and Lando Norris is doing a brilliant job staving off Sergio Perez. Lando was a couple of tenths quicker than Perez last time round. They're now doing the same lap time, more or less, a 1:21.6. And Lando is under the radar, driving brilliantly today against a Red Bull behind him. And Lando's holding his own in this McLaren. Great stuff. Now look, I know it's early, but if you go and put the kettle on, make a cup of tea, get some toast, don't forget the Marmite, and then come back.
Max Verstappen just put up his fastest
Because I'm
lap.
with you, Crofty and Jensen. I believe, I have faith this is going to get tasty in a few laps' time.
Absolutely. This could be better than Rocky 3.
Fastest lap of the race.
Resumption of the Hamilton and Alonso battle here. There's only, what, 1.8 seconds between the two of them, but you just get the feeling that Alonso's just biding his time a little bit. How confident is Hamilton on those tyres?
Yeah, the three standouts for me actually in the top 10. You know, we expect Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso with the performances they've had in the first 2 races of the year. We expect them to be on the front. Gasly is a standout. Nico Hülkenberg, Lando Norris. Those three should be very proud of what they're doing right now.
I think there's a few contenders for driver of the day today. And Lando Norris, who has Sergio Perez behind him with DRS, might be getting a few votes as well. The longer he keeps Sergio Perez at bay. But look how close that Red Bull gets under DRS when it wants to attack. Lando's looking in his mirrors here to see where Sergio's going as they head down towards turn 11, and this is the corner that Perez has used to his advantage quite a bit so far this weekend, but Lando parks his car in the right place, and you can see Hülkenberg just ahead of these two. So if Lando can stretch his pace just a little bit, get within a second of Hülkenberg, that then too helps his pace with the DRS. We've got 4 zones here, it's worth an extra second a lap, or should be. as down the main straight comes Sergio Perez with that DRS advantage, but there's not enough straight for him to get past on this occasion.
Yeah, to keep Checo behind, Lando needs to give it a big push if he can with the tyres and get up behind Nico Hülkenberg and use his DRS. But is he really worried about Checo? I think he just thinks he's in a much quicker car. If he passes me, he passes me, and I'm going to do my own thing because I'm fighting the other guys around me.
Just saw on the pit wall there, Giampiero Lambiase, Max Verstappen's race engineer. Verstappen's over 10 seconds clear. GP might have been making notes on the pit wall there. He might have been doing the crossword for all I know, because he's not really had much to do to coach his driver through this. But on the other side of the pit wall, Hugh Bird is urging his driver on, the race engineer for Checo Perez, and Perez is now responding, and he's going to go down the inside. Yes, he is. Turn 8, Sergio Perez down the inside on Lando Norris, and he used the DRS to his advantage. The Hulk is next.
Yeah, you can see that coming a mile off, couldn't you? Sort of 3 corners before. He's got quite a few car lengths between them, but it's an absolute rocket ship, the Red Bull in a straight line.
15 laps to go of an absorbing Australian Grand Prix, full of incidents at the start, and now a period where the top 4, 5, 6 are trying to just feel their way through a bit of time management. And while that's been going on, Perez has still been continuing his charge, and it's taken him a while to get past Lando Norris. But you've got to say, with the pace that he's got, P6, P5, maybe even P4 still on for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think Lando did the right thing there. He didn't want to drive offline to try and block him, and he's just kept his tyres clean. But yeah, the fast lap of the race by Checo, obviously helped by the DRS, but that's true pace, 20.697, that's super quick.
It's when he gets that DRS, you think, well, okay, P4, that might be, a podium might even be possible too. Either way, he's very soon going to join the list of contenders queuing up behind Fernando Alonso, and very soon we're going to see a little bit more pace here, and see who's got it. The vulnerable one is Hamilton, because he won't get the DRS advantage in any of these scraps.
Exactly. It's just, I'm just wondering at what point they're going to go, hang on a second, I think these cars are going to go to the end, I can push them a little bit harder, and they're going to have to push them harder.
Turn 11, car 11, another place gains for Sergio Perez, who's up now into 7th.
Alright, Checo's moving up.
He was a second and a half quicker than Hülkenberg.
And good for Hülkenberg, he's having a good day.
He'll be about a second and a half quicker than Hülkenberg on this lap too. But Lando Norris is right now on the back of Nico Hülkenberg, and he might try and make a place up himself from 9th to 8th by the time they get to turn 1. Hülkenberg's got DRS though, after being overtaken by Sergio Perez, and Norris will want to see Perez disappear off into the setting sun, chase after Stroll nice and quickly to allow him to get past Nico Hülkenberg. Karun Chandok, down to you at race control.
You know, Jensen was just asking about when they're going to let them off the leash. They've just told Fernando, your tyres look good, you can start pushing to the end now. So Mercedes have just been giving Lewis the gap. They haven't yet given him the hurry up. Looking forward to seeing the pace. I mean, they're both dipped into the 120s now, haven't they, last lap? So yeah, they're pushing on.
4/10 on this lap, Jensen.
Yeah, first sector, second sector the same as Lewis's. It starts to get a little bit more difficult when you get closer through that middle sector, because you have the high-speed turn 9 and 10.
Yeah, Gasly, meanwhile, starting to gain once again through that middle sector on Carlos Sainz, only half a second between those two. Perez is still close enough to Nico Hülkenberg for Hulk to enjoy the DRS, to kind of drag him along a little bit. I'm sure if Lando could talk to Sergio at the moment, he'd be like, come on, let you overtake me, you know, do you a favour, mate? Can you just put your foot down?
At this point, both of these guys are giving it everything. These two aren't trying to look after their tyres, because this is an important position for both of these. And Hülkenberg wants to stay close to Perez, keep that DRS, because he knows that Lando's not going to overtake him while he's also got DRS.
So Checo Perez, who went from 22nd and last on the grid here in 2012 to finish 8th, is now up to 7th. He also went from the pit lane start in Bahrain in 2021 to finish 5th. Last on lap 1 to finish 7th in Portugal in 2020, and last on lap 1 to win the Sakir Grand Prix that season as well. He does like a charge through the field here, and he's setting after Lance Stroll, albeit just by a couple of tenths. He's closed that gap in the last lap. Andrea Stella watches on, the new team principal at McLaren, to see what young Lando Norris, Lando Norris's 5th season in Formula 1, could do about Nico Hülkenberg here.
Yeah, Fernando Alonso's purple first sector, personal best second sector, he is pushing. Be interested to see how close he is to Lewis, whether he can get within that second DRS zone.
Yeah, when he gets under a second, that's when the speed starts to increase just that little bit more. Ted, down to you.
Right, before this gets tasty with Alonso pushing on Hamilton, George Russell has been speaking. We'll hear his interview after, but he said that he is pretty sure, almost certain in fact, that his tyres would have got to the end. There's the AlphaTauri pitting onto the soft tyre. That's interesting. So is that Yuki or De Vries?
That's
All
De
right,
Vries.
so that means that there are mechanics from two teams, Crofty. What are the mechanics from McLaren and Aston Martin got in common in this race?
They're both wearing fire
No,
suits.
they have not made any in-race pit stops.
Ah,
it
good
was going to
point.
be AlphaTauri, but that's just changed that little fact. So McLaren and Aston have not made, and it's been a bit of a day off for the mechanics. They changed tyres, of course, but they did it in the pit lane under no stress or pressure.
But maybe, Jensen Button, they are trying to take the fastest lap in this race, but from who at this moment in time?
I mean, it could be any of the top six, it seems. Fernando has the fastest lap of the race at the moment on his last lap. He was 1.1 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Lewis has just pulled another 10th out in this lap, so it'll go up to 1.2, 1.3, I think.
And I promise you, he is still racing, and that is Max Verstappen, and he is still leading. Over 11 seconds the gap now. And, well, is that Max Verstappen just weaving a bit to try and get some temperature into those tyres?
He's either run wide, got them a little dirty, marbles, or he is struggling for temperature.
He lost 4 seconds.
It's gone down under 30 degrees now.
Max Verstappen lost 4 seconds right there.
An ultimate corner drags you in a bit, doesn't it?
It's like the inside front.
Oh, he went in the grass.
Front locking on a Red Bull. Where have we seen that this weekend, Jensen?
I mean, that was a big moment. It wasn't just lock up and drive back on. He had a massive.
Yeah, it's 2:30.
Lost a couple of seconds. Oh, he lost almost
But it's
4 seconds.
4:30 p.m. there.
But the thing is, Checo, as we saw in practice and as we saw in qualifying, was having front locking issues. And suddenly, that nice, comfortable Sunday afternoon that Max Verstappen is enjoying, it just looks a bit more like he's had too much Sunday roast, and he's got that little feeling in his belly that, oh dear, all is not completely right. We'll see if the struggles continue. Front-locking issues, potentially. Lewis Hamilton responding to Fernando Alonso's increased pace as he wants to get second, and Fernando Alonso wants to get second, and Kylie's absolutely loving it here. She should be so lucky that she attends the Australian Grand Prix on a day like this. 10 laps to go. And we have 3 world champions occupying the top 3 positions. Last time we had that at the podium, Hungary 2018. We've got battles all over this track, including this one. Lando Norris on Nico Hülkenberg. And Norris is a lot closer now with Hülkenberg losing that DRS advantage behind Sergio Perez. Norris has got DRS, he's going for it down into turn 1, he's just a bit too far back.
Yeah, he's going to struggle. We've seen how draggy the McLaren seems around here, or is running more downforce. But he's going to have many more chances, I think, around this lap. I think his best opportunity is probably into turn 9, a few corners time.
And that extra DRS zone they put in has made turn 9 an overtaking opportunity now. At high speed.
It has. He had a little wiggle coming out of 4, so I think he's probably lost a little bit of time, but he's still pretty close to the car in front, isn't he?
Through they go, bending right all the time, hugging the lake on the right-hand side. Those grandstands absolutely packed, and the bank's lined with spectators. They want to see something here. Is Lando Norris close enough? Not quite, but can he stay right on the tail of Hülkenberg now? Yes, he can. He is right in the zone to try and make a move on Hülkenberg, but which way is he going to go? Hülkenberg's made it difficult. Lando tried to throw the dummy, now tries to go down the inside, but the gap just isn't there. That was very good, aggressive defending from Hülkenberg, and it looked like they got a little bit too close for comfort too.
It felt a little late, didn't it? It felt a little late. I'm not sure if it was, but first of all, great job by Lando staying that close to Hülkenberg through 9 and 10.
You tell me, is this late or not?
So he's chosen the right, and then, oh, there was a little wiggle on the wheel, wasn't there? Yeah. He did. Lucky not to run into the back of there. I've seen that too many times, but yeah, let the fight commence.
We'll let the fight continue, and it will. for however many laps, we do not know. Hamilton extending his advantage over Alonso once again. Sainz has dropped back from Alonso here. He's not really in the fight. He's looking in his mirrors for Pierre Gasly.
Good job.
Who is still right there behind him. Good job, says Gary Gannon. Nico Hulkenberg's race engineer. Lance Stroll is 3.5 seconds behind Pierre Gasly, maybe settling for 6, but Sergio Perez is coming at him by about half a second a lap. Behind Sergio Perez, Hulkenberg and Norris, the battle we're focusing on here. Ocon currently in the points, 11 seconds clear of Piastri. Piastri's teammate Lando Norris once again looking at turn 11 and once again just hasn't quite got the traction. Hulkenberg after that corner.
Yeah, the problem is he's coming out at 10 and Hulkenberg's moving across to the right immediately. And it's going to be really difficult to make the move there. He's going to have to dive, be really brave on the brakes, but then Hulkenberg will run him wide on the exit.
Max Verstappen's increased his advantage back to over 8 seconds now after that mistake a couple of laps ago at the penultimate corner. Gone onto the grass. Maybe the setting sun got in his eyes just a little bit, as you can see it on the camera here. As long as this race carries on, gents, and we put the clocks back last night by an hour, the sun starts to play a little part, doesn't it?
It does, definitely. We've had that, we used to have a 5 p.m. start, didn't we? And it definitely was in your eyes. But interesting to see Fernando and Lewis, their lap times keep changing. You know, Fernando gains 2/10 and Lewis pulls it back out. So these two are going at it. It's good to see.
And meanwhile, Pierre Gasly has dropped back from Carlos Sainz. He's out of DRS range. Whoever your driver of the day is, get your voting quick. 6 laps you've got till the voting closes.
Here we go.
Once, twice, now for a third time. Here goes Lando Norris on Nico Hulkenberg. Once again, he's trying out of turn 11. This time he's got a lot closer. This time he's going wheel to wheel. This time he's got ahead. Lando Norris goes.
Oh, Nico Hulkenberg off.
Slides off onto the gravel for good measure. And at the third time of asking, he was so lucky to take 8th place.
Beautiful move. He did nothing wrong there. Obviously Hulkenberg trying to keep the outside line, but couldn't. Onto the marbles, onto the gravel, but great move by Lando.
Oh, I think the crowd would have loved that one. He just needed that better traction out of turn 11, you know, with the tyres not slipping underneath him to try and make the move. Take us through this, Jess.
Yeah, well, Nico missed the apex. That was his issue, and Lando could switch back and get the apex there. I think he still thought that Nico was on the outside there, but Nico had run wide across the gravel trap. So, yeah, lovely move. He should be proud of that one.
Lando Norris and Nico Hulkenberg, decent scrap that. It's 4 points on the board for McLaren, and a lot of wincing in that Haas garage and applauding down at McLaren, who will be moving off the bottom of the Constructors' Championship at this rate. Elsewhere, we're looking at Hulkenberg's teammate, Kevin Magnussen, as Joe Guanyu right behind him in the AlphaTauri. Well, we look at this, watching the timing screens. Alonso, was he starting to make a move on Hamilton once again, just by a couple of tenths of a second. They've been teasing us with that one for some time now. So if Hamilton keeps Alonso at bay here, we've praised him for winning in the past. We've seen 103 wins in Formula One, and he will have had to have fought for this like a victory today. It's been a really solid drive for him.
Yeah, mentally this is one of those, it's a really tough race, trying to look after the car and trying to keep that gap. So yeah, he'll be exhausted after this one. The one that is a standout at the moment that's losing a bit of time is Pierre Gasly. He was a second slower, or 9/10 slower than Sainz, and half a second slower than Stroll behind him. So he's finding it a little bit tricky at the moment.
Well, Otmar Safnauer telling us those tyres were going to last to the end. The end can't come soon enough, the way that Stroll is now closing in on Gasly. Could be a 3rd and 5th for Aston Martin, could be a 4th for Carlos Sainz, could be for what, the 34th time in Formula One of Verstappen and Hamilton. 1-2 in either order, and it is the end of the day for that man
Kevin
there,
Magnussen.
Kevin Magnussen, who's lost the right rear tyre.
That's impact.
That might be a...
With what, I wonder,
right, no.
as he pulls off and finds somewhere safe to pull off.
Well, that's going to be a
Does
caution.
the safety car come out? The yellow flags have stopped. Is green. Oh no, they've got to do something about that tyre. Right there on the racetrack. Yellow flag's still being waved. He's made impact with the concrete. Maybe coming
on,
out
just call the caution.
turn two.
I don't want this race to end under yellow.
You got damage. Rear suspension broken. Oh, so maybe he's actually lost it coming out of turn 2 and it's hit the wall on the left before turn 3.
Either way, he has hit the wall right there, right by the advertising for the Pirelli tyres.
You gotta call it caution.
Which is ironic.
That is really high up that tyre mark. So it is the exit of turn 2 on the right hand side. It looks like he's clipped the first tyre barrier.
And I'm not surprised, Jensen. That safety car might have been flashed a little while before.
Safety car with, is it 4 laps to go? 5 laps, 4 laps to go.
Right, so what happens here? Safety car, we've got a few laps to go. Hamilton and Alonso running really close together. You can't see Hamilton pitting because then Alonso would stay out just in case we run for the safety car to the end of this race. Verstappen doesn't look like he's pitted. 13 seconds you lose under the virtual safety car or the safety car rather than like a 22 seconds. Piastri, if we do get any racing here,
this is a full safety car.
Of the points behind Esteban Ocon. They're waiting at Mercedes. Who's come in to the pits? Valtteri Bottas has made his way into the pits. Hamilton has stayed out. Alonso has stayed out too.
Piastri should pit. He's got 19 seconds behind him. He could stick a new set of tyres on, stay 11th.
Yeah.
And he could make 2 or 3 places up on a new set of softs.
And Piastri is just making his way to turn 11 at the moment, so it could still happen. We could get one racing lap in here, but it depends how quickly they clear the debris. This is what happened to Kevin Magnussen. Well, he just veered wide into the concrete.
That's so strange. I don't know if it was the sun in his eyes and he couldn't judge the exit, but that tyre mark we saw on the wall was actually from the bouncing tyre across the circuit, so it wasn't actually from him spinning or hitting the wall.
Ted Kravitz, down to you.
McLaren must have heard you because car 81, Melbourne's Oscar Piastri comes into the pit box. Oh, it's slow on the front left. They won't lose too much time because it is under a safety car, but that's the soft tyres on. Oh, there's the replay for you. Oh, that is dramatic, isn't it? I think everybody else is thinking that the race is going to time out, surely, Crofty. But, well, those with truly nothing to lose, Valtteri Bottas and so far Piastri coming into the pits. Zhou Guanyu is also pitting. But I guess Fernando Alonso, Lewis, it's a slow stop for Zhou Guanyu as well. That's frustrating for Alfa Romeo Sauber. And Yuki Tsunoda pits as well.
2 seconds, Ted.
So much debris out here. Okay, copy, just make your way through.
I think they all think it's going to time out, don't they, Crofty?
Yeah. No, there is a fair bit of debris out on the track as well. We can see it from the replay, and on boards with Zhou Guanyu, we could see bouncing tyres as well. And the sun would have been in Kevin Magnussen's eyes. We were just talking about it a couple of laps ago. And they've red flagged the race. Now, that means we are going to get racing to the end.
Red flag again.
Because of debris on the track, race control have red flagged this race, which means that they can clear up the incident.
They're using the red flags so loosely now.
More safely, get it done.
They're just.
But also, Jensen, but in this occasion, to give us racing until the end.
And a new set of softs on everyone, or a set.
But I like it. This is a
softs,
good part to. This is like a good way to use it.
We should get what? We'll get 3 laps. We'll get 2 laps of DRS. Is that correct?
Standing starts, you're not going to get DRS straight away from a standing start. Karun Chandok's at Sky Racing.
We'll get 2 laps.
Come in on this one, Karun.
I think we'll get 2 laps, only because the lap to the grid counts as 1 lap. So will we just get a...
So basically, lap 56 will be the lap to the grid.
Yeah, and then
lap
we get a 2 lap.
57 and lap 58 will give us a 2-lap race.
So no DRS,
decide,
I think.
Yeah, no DRS to decide this Australian Grand Prix.
And we know how good the Mercedes has been off the line.
Well, we do, because Hamilton and Russell have both made excellent starts.
It was quite funny, Crofty. I've got 4 channels of team radio here. 4 engineers said, red flag, red flag. 4 drivers went, what? You're kidding? Pretty much in different words, but yeah, all at the same time.
I'm not going to disagree with this red flag because, quite frankly, Jensen Button, I haven't got a flight until tomorrow morning. I know you've got to make your way to the airport, but you're still smiling even though you've now got to run for it at some stage. This is going to give everybody 2 laps of cracking action on the soft compound tyre, you'd think, to decide the winner of this race.
Yeah.
And a race that Max Verstappen thought was long sewn up since he got past Hamilton after the last restart.
Yeah, it's entertainment, and we're going to have an amazing show for those 2 laps.
Not that I'm not sympathetic. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds it.
If you need my sofa tonight, it's absolutely fine if you miss your plane.
I mean, the only person that's really feeling the pain right now is Max Verstappen.
Correct.
Oh, it's been easy for him, apart from that one little lockup. But the one weakness they've had have been the start.
And it's true, consistent. So, why the red flag, says Max Verstappen?
It is.
Just see if we can hear the conversation that's going on.
Why the red flag? Because this is a show. This is entertainment. Like, they forget this sometimes. Like, yeah, this is competition,
soft compound tires
but F1 also has a job to put on a good show. It is entertainment.
Norris might have a huge soft left. Sergio Perez has got.
They're gonna do what they're gonna do. Entertainment.
Drive directly to the pits, do not stop in the box, stay in the fast lane.
Unique red flag.
Red flag, so slow down.
What the fuck do you mean red flag?
1 lap, 2 laps. Will they restart this? I can imagine they would.
Wheel rim debris over a wide area is the cause of the red flag. Thank you to the
Why is Lewis running?
Letting me know, so I can let you know. And we saw from the slow motion replay that there was a fair amount of debris getting cleared up.
There's Carlos.
Racing.
I understand why the drivers have reacted that way, though, because we've never seen red flags for this before.
Well, there was Baku, wasn't there? Remember when Max had his accident in Baku late on, and we got a couple of laps of action at the end of Baku, and Lewis sadly left the brake magic button on.
Yeah.
And that cost him dear on that particular day.
Sergio
Perez was left thinking, thank you very much, I'll take some of that. Karun Chandok to Sky Race Control. Come in, Karun. Karun Chandok.
Yeah, I think the key now for Verstappen.
George Russell's out of the race, but he's just still there watching.
Data, haven't they, from the last 2 starts? Because listening on the radio on the previous start, there was a lot of advice given to Lewis Hamilton about the clutch position, the rate of his release. His performance engineer was telling him a lot of things about when he gets to 50% throttle, how to release the throttle, the clutch, and things like that.
Botas's car being pushed to?
Advice is going to be critical for this final start. What is going to be tricky is that the clutch has now done a whole bunch of racing, and you know, therefore the engineers, this puts a lot of pressure on them to get the start maps absolutely spot on for the drivers.
The positive for Max's camp, anyway.
We're going to resume in 10 minutes. The race will resume in 10 minutes.
So close to the end of the race, all the debris ends up on the other side of the circuit, doesn't it, on the right-hand side. So it's going to be a lot dustier over there.
So remember, Baku, because of Verstappen's accident, the tyre failure, Sergio Perez won that race. Sebastian Vettel gave Aston Martin their first podium in Formula 1, and Pierre Gasly got on the podium.
I love this.
Is that the rule book?
George Russell's just standing there watching the Red Bulls.
The Grand Prix guide. This is not the rule book. It's not thick enough, to be honest. Race control say the race will resume in round about 8.5 minutes local time. So the debris all cleared up quickly, which is good. The sun's going down a little bit. So tinted visors out there, JB?
Yeah, I think they'll all have tinted visors on anyway. It's pretty bright all day long. But yeah, turn 1's going to be a little trickier because it's right in their eyes, and turn 3 as well. Bit of front locking will make it even more exciting there.
And tyres remaining, Ted Kravitz. One new set of hard tyres for Max Verstappen in terms of new tyres. New set of mediums for Lewis Hamilton. New set of mediums for Pierre Gasly. Alonso and Sainz, no new tyres.
Yeah, but they'll put the softs on even if they're used by a couple of laps. So we've got the Melbourne Shuffle in the pit lane now, Crofty, as the lapped cars. Is there someone guarding those two cars? That car park?
Yes.
Yes, there is. It'll be made to be a nice souvenir. Not that I'm casting any aspersions on the Melbourne fans who would not want to take over the car.
Do you know what? Someone came up to me on Thursday here in Melbourne. He said, do you know what this is? Holding a piece of carbon fibre. I said, absolutely no idea. He said, this came off David Coulthard's car in 1996 when he had a bit of an incident with Martin Brundle. Do you know where they are? Because I just want to show him the piece. I think they've long since forgotten that incident, mate. You might have a bit of a job on that one. Morning to you, Martin, by the way. Hope you, like the rest of us, are enjoying this race. But yeah, the fans, they'll take home a few little mementos if they can, and why not?
No, only some marbles, I'd recommend it. But on the mantelpiece, lovely. Yeah, so the lap cars are being sorted out. There is a feeling on the Alfa Romeo Sauber pit wall that, you know, that was just the brakes. And Zhou Guanyu 12th, Valtteri Bottas 14th. Yes, they didn't know that there was going to be a red flag. I think they thought it was going to time out as well.
That's Daniel Ricciardo talking
to lost out a little bit.
George Russell.
Logan Sargent in the other Williams has been having a really torrid. There you go. That's a nice team. Danny Rick and George Russell.
Yeah.
Logan Sargent has been having a really torrid afternoon. He's been saying on the radio the car is not very good, but only not in those words. And I think the engineer got back to him and said, just careful about your choice of words on the radio there, Logan. We'll discuss about it after. But he's currently not the last runner. That's Nick de Vries in P60.
97th birthday. It's would have been for Sir Jack Brabham today, born in Sydney on this date in 1926. And of course, the winning constructor gets awarded the trophy, the Sir Jack Brabham trophy. An absolutely gorgeous trophy it is for the winners here in Albert Park. You know all about that, Jensen, who stood on that podium. You've held that trophy aloft. And as it stands at the moment, 3 world champions on the podium, but anything could happen in the 2 laps that we have got here. I wouldn't like to predict exactly what.
No. And I don't know what to say. So it's been a long race. There's been a lot of action. Yes, we always want more overtaking, but seeing how these guys are, you know, getting the maximum out of what they have, it's impressive. You know, we should round of applause for all these guys out there. I think they've done a fantastic job. There's been a lot of good action.
This is what's caused the second red flag of the afternoon. Kevin Magnussen hitting the wall, time bouncing off debris everywhere on the track. It's left us with a very tense 2 racing laps to decide the outcome of this Australian Grand Prix. There might be more tension in the pit lane at the moment than there will be at the London Stadium this afternoon when West Ham take on Southampton, the 2 bottom clubs in the Premier League, and what a relegation 6-pointer that'll be. You can see a little later on today. Not that I'm tense about that match coming up whatsoever.
You support one of those teams?
See, my hands are shaking already. Let's go down to Ted Kravitz while I still can.
So I don't know if it's a little hammer, Crofty, that was loose in Lando Norris's cockpit, but something was. And his engineer Will Joseph's on the radio saying, Lando, is that thing in your footwell still bothering you? And Lando says, well, yes, but I've sort of grown to get used to it over the last few laps. I think they were saying, look, you know, it's quite a job, isn't it, to get Lando out, to get the nose cone off, to try and find whatever this nut or bolt or whatever it is that's rattling around in Lando Norris's footwell. And I don't think they're going to bother because Lando says he's okay with it now. But he is sat in the car and all ready to go right in front of me. And hopefully going to get their first points of the season. Yes, Jensen, sorry.
I'm amazed that they have to remove something if there's something moving in the footwell, because from a driver's point of view, that's the scariest thing.
So before NBC had F1 rights, I assumed all F1 races outside of North America started at the same time, but they didn't.
Saying that it wasn't around the brake, not that it couldn't move, of course, and he'd grown to get used to it.
don't know what it was.
Yeah, we do that as drivers. We're a bit silly in that way. We're like, oh, I've got used to it now, it's fine. Yeah.
Penny for that man's thoughts. Max Verstappen was on course for win number 37 in his career. Second win of this season. And he was 8.5 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton, who hasn't won a Grand Prix since losing the championship on the final lap in Abu Dhabi in 2021, losing the championship to Max Verstappen on the last lap. And I'm not saying for 1 second that victory today will eradicate the memory of that night for Lewis Hamilton, but it might give him something to smile about, some cheer, a spring in his step, and just a little bit of karma from his perspective here today. Fernando Alonso will be in the hunt when we get going too, but I don't think the Aston Martins have had particularly the better starts either in this race. Carlos Sainz will be thinking, right, I'm right back in this, to give Ferrari a bit of hope. Pierre Gasly will be like, well, there's no pressure on me because no one expected me to win, but I'm in the hunt. And then there's Lance Stroll in that top 6 as well, with Sergio Perez, who has tyres available to him and is now right back in the thick of it too.
Yeah,
So,
this is a start to a Formula 1 race is tense. You know, the adrenaline, the blood's pumping through your veins. It's really exciting for a driver. A little bit anxious as well, but having this at the end of a race, you know you have 2 laps to make a difference, or to make a mistake, or to make it happen. There's a lot of tense drivers out there right now.
So, 3 standing starts we're going to get today, like we had in Austria 87, in Belgium in 1990, in Mugello in 2020, and Jeddah 2021, which was the last race that Lewis Hamilton won in Formula 1. Sun is sinking here. The crowd have absolutely packed Albert Park, and they have been treated to an enthralling and thrilling Australian Grand Prix, which in a minute's time is going to get going again with 2 laps of racing. Ted Kravitz down the
When the start happens, keep your eyes out for Lance Stroll as well. He's always been good at starts. He's been stuck behind Pierre Gasly pretty much the whole race, and Carlos Sainz. So this is Stroll's opportunity to make a better place for him as well.
There's Jackie Stewart.
Abu Dhabi, Crofty. Can't believe you did it. I wonder where Michael Massey is these days. Oh yeah, that's right. He's here. He's in the next paddock. Wonder if he's watching this.
He is here. He's a human being, and it's lovely to see Michael Massey looking well and feeling a lot happier about life. Never forget, whatever your allegiances were in Abu Dhabi, he's a human being. 28 seconds to go before this race starts. Let's get back down to the action. Standing start procedure. Track temperature hasn't really cooled much, hasn't really changed much since the cars were on the track. The blankets have come off. Lewis Hamilton, well, he knows how to restart a race because he's done that. Max Verstappen was questioning what Lewis Hamilton did on the last restart, but was told actually it was absolutely fine. So he can dictate the pace. And Bernd Mailander in the safety car peels out of the pit lane, and one by one the cars will follow him. And absolutely no surprises there whatsoever that Hamilton took a little bit longer to get going than Max Verstappen, because he'd quite like him to be waiting there on his own for as long as he could legally get away with.
Yeah, but he's got to stay close to Max Verstappen. Fair enough they don't have to stay in the safety car, but he's got to stay close to Max. But no, I feel that Max is going to push this on a lot harder on the way to the grid. I think that they need more tyre temp, and they have to work the tyres harder to get that tyre temp than the Mercedes. You can see him, look at him weaving around. Lewis, just chilled, look at him.
There he goes. There's Fernando Alonso. Okay. In the background there. He'll be absolutely up for this one. And don't forget, Max Verstappen's last win, Bahrain this season. Lewis Hamilton's last win, Jeddah 2021. Fernando Alonso's last win, Spain 2013. If he did get victory here today, it would be the longest gap ever between victories in Formula 1. 36 career race wins for Max Verstappen. The championship leader was looking an absolute shoey in to be 37 here. Things have changed around. Karun Chand, up to you.
He's been on the radio saying, can the safety car hurry up? As you said, Jensen, he needs the tyre temp.
It looks like he's slowed it right down, purposely to get the safety car as far away as possible so that he can push and get some tyre temp into those.
Don't forget, no DRS available because we've only got 2 laps. You only get the DRS after 2 laps of a race or a race resumption for a standing start. So Red Bull with Checo Perez haven't got the benefit of that DRS. Max Verstappen out in front, if he stays in front, wouldn't get the benefit either way, and those behind him wouldn't be able to try and use it to overtake, and I'm sure there's a few fingernails have been pitching right down here. Whoever you're supporting, because there are going to be battles going on absolutely everywhere. For Oscar Piastri, worth a mention that he's currently 11th on the fringes of the points, and this could be his first points in Formula 1 if he can get into that top 10.
And we know it's not going to be a straightforward 2 laps. When you put 19 hungry, 18 hungry F1 drivers at it, they're gonna push the boundaries of what they can do. And yeah, I cannot wait for this 2-lap race.
Yeah, 2009 we started at twilight. You mentioned it, Jensen, at 5 o'clock. It's ticking towards 5 o'clock right now. And the sun is going to be right in the driver's eyes, directly in the driver's eyes as they sit on the grid. Here down at turn 1, the sun is starting to stream into our commentary box as well, but we're not taking our eyes off the screens. And back at home, I would imagine you're doing
Sergio Perez has the fastest lap of the race.
Hello to you, wherever you're watching.
He was my vote for driver of the day.
We have sprint races in Formula 1. This is the super sprint to decide the Grand Prix. Jensen, who's going to get it?
Well, these guys know it's got to be turn 1 or turn 3 that they make the moves happen. It's not going to happen later on, I don't think, because people will be moving around blocking. So I think it's so important who gets through turn 3 first, and I think that is the person that's going to win the race.
So Max Verstappen slots in to that pole position on the grid as he's watched on from the pit wall. Beside him, Lewis Hamilton on that front row. Fernando Alonso alongside Carlos Sainz, the all-Spanish second row, trying to make a move. Then we've got Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll.
We're going to have a race. 2 laps.
That is the top 10. We're all set in a line for the 3rd time this afternoon. 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go.
Green flag.
Verstappen comes over to try and cut him off and does so. Verstappen leads. Fernando Alonso tries to go around the outside. Hamilton's in 2nd place.
Ooh.
Contact.
Oh, there goes Alonso.
Alonso around. The 2 Spanish drivers making contact.
Oh, hard contact.
Pierre Gasly out of this race too. It's chaos as the straight on goes.
And there goes Lance Stroll. Red flag.
A double podium or a race win absolutely evaporated. We've got another red flag. That should be the race over now. But Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly took each other out.
Red flag? So maybe we'll get a 1 lap?
Alpine having a nightmare of a resumption here. Verstappen stayed ahead of Hamilton and Sainz in 3rd. Nico Hülkenberg up to 4th. Yuki Tsunoda 5th. Norris.
What is going on here?
We'll all be scoring points if we don't get a restart here. But that was absolute chaos at the start.
We've lost 6 cars, I think, from the start of that race. Absolute chaos. Yeah. Do they keep these positions, or is it taken back 1 lap?
Okay, so Silverstone.
NASCAR moment! Oh my god! Kamikaze Games just said NASCAR moment.
You've got 2 cars out at the moment if we don't apply those rules from Silverstone before. And we'll get to you in 2 seconds because we just want to see the replay of what happened. Verstappen goes across to cut off Lewis Hamilton. Alonso then thinks, right, there'll be a gap round the outside. Sainz down the inside here. Gasly
Kamikaze Games just said NASCAR moment. I mean, pretty much.
The 2 Alpines coming together.
Yeah, it was all caused by the contact between Carlos and Fernando. I don't know where the 2 Alpines got down. There they are. Oh.
Right. It was, everything was happening at the restart there. We see cars skidding off into the ground, Perez losing it, and that's the contact with the 2 Alpines. Marcel, now to you, down on the pit wall. Your reaction to what happened to your cars, please.
Yeah, really sad to see, Crofty. We had a really good race going, and I mean it's just chaos at the start like this, and it's just a massive gamble with cars going off all over the place and having to avoid them. Yeah, I doubt Pierre even saw Esteban there.
I don't think he did. We've just seen the replay from on board with Esteban. What do you understand to be the rules here? Did we go through one sector before the red flag, and will the FIA have to go back to what was on the grid to determine what the classification is currently?
Yeah, this is deja vu all over again, Crofty. I'm not sure we went through a sector. I don't know. I'll have to ask Alan, the sporting director, what we do next.
Yeah, he's your rules and regulations man, but that was definitely what happened at Silverstone after that lap 1 incident.
I remember.
What happens here, I've no idea, but if they did go through a sector, that is a very costly incident, albeit a racing incident between your two drivers for your team.
Yeah, unbelievable. Anyway, the positives are
NASCAR moment. What the fuck is going on? This is literally NASCAR.
There's another
This is like some dumb NASCAR shit. This is like CODA.
The restart procedure is under investigation by the stewards, which means they're looking into, did they go through a sector? And if they did go through a sector, that would be the finishing order if we can't finish. And I'm assuming, Jensen, that we wouldn't finish because the
they're gonna fucking make up some shit. We're gonna go back racing.
And then it'll be sat on the grid, the lights would go out, and then someone would wave a checkered flag.
Yeah, it's not really the end that we want. So that would mean that Fernando would still be in 3rd place.
If they didn't go through a sector, that's how I would imagine it.
They're gonna change the rules.
Carlos Sainz might want to keep away from it for a bit.
Yeah.
A red flag on the final lap.
Absolute mayhem. And even in the background, you had the Williams.
I've never seen this before. This is a first ever in racing. A red flag on the final lap.
Reasonably good start by Fernando.
I've never seen that.
Verstappen doing what he had to do.
That is.
Fernando's doing everything right here.
This is something
It looks like Carlos
I rarely say that this is a first. I very often say that actually, but this is a first.
You can put a red flag before. Yeah.
This is an awfully strange first.
We don't complete the lap, we go back to the same positions it happened in Silverstone.
Yes, we're looking at that, mate. We're on that. We're already on that. Let's just get the car back. Do you think there's damage?
No, it's okay. The car is okay. Okay. Check this immediately. They should do it. Yeah.
That is proof that Fernando Alonso is the driver that thinks of every outcome at every available moment. Where others will be shouting, understandably, he didn't like it. Now check this rule. You know, he's already thinking, right, how can we salvage this?
Yeah. Let's see, and then it looks like Gasly just thinks he hasn't got anyone on the right hand side, but when you're going so much slower than the pack, you just have to think there's possibly going to be someone there, and it was his teammate. I mean, very unlucky.
Wow. Lawrence Stroll has come down to the pit wall. He's smiling. A little handshake with his son there.
They're gonna make up some explanation so we can go at one more lap racing again. That's just obvious.
Did Stroll get a puncture or something? Because he got a tap through turn 1, I think, and then turn 3 he just went straight on, didn't he? It was very strange.
Whether the tyres were cold, brakes too cold, I'm not sure. Either way, Verstappen probably doesn't care what happens in terms of where do we go back to, but I think Red Bull might quite like to go back because then Sergio Perez gets a few more points too.
Yeah, he went straight on across the grass, obviously trying to miss all the mayhem, but it was wet, it's much slower, and he's dropped back to...
So, down in the pit lane, what are they saying, Ted? There's a load of people there with the rules and regulations in their hand. What's going to be the decider of this one?
I think there are 4 options, Crofty. One is that the stewards decide, you know what, that's enough. We're not going to restart this race. The race will not be restarted. And this is the order with, Fernando Alonso not, as they came into the pits, with Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, Hülkenberg, Tsunoda, Norris, Piastri, Zhou, Bottas, Perez, Alonso, Stroll. That's option 1, that it will not be restarted. Option 2 is that it will not be restarted, but with the order that Fernando wants, i.e. 1 lap back. Option 3 is that it will be restarted with a different starting with the first starting order. And option 4 is that it will be restarted with the non-Alonso in third place starting order. See what are you following me? Sorry, I haven't quite seen that. So and if it is restarted anyway, then there won't be any racing. It would just be a formation lap. It would be a formation lap, and then the checkered flag would be waved immediately. So there'd be no overtaking, and the result would stand. Now, bearing that in mind, that even if it is restarted, sorry, if there are replays you need to do.
This may be the longest F1 race ever, yeah.
Running into the back of the Alpha Tauri, which is what saw him out of this race, and from on board with Nick de Vries. Nothing you can do about that, gentlemen. So
getting sick of seeing this red.
Specialist, and then I'll go and continue my harassing of sporting directors down here. Given that if it does restart, there isn't going to be any change of places anyway, then surely the only decision is that they decide which order it is. This one that we've got now with Alonso and Stroll well down, or the one...
No, they're going to make it some rule where they're going to go back racing for one lap. There's going to be one more restart. This is a show. This is entertainment.
Because
that's what they're going to do.
They've come into the pit lane.
And then Verstappen's going to get robbed again. And then everyone's going to be like, hey, Verstappen got robbed. Or no, Verstappen robbed Hamilton, but then it's going to be a role reversal. And then it's going to be funny.
What we should say is they've both driven a super race today. Verstappen under a little bit less pressure than Lewis Hamilton, but that is a brilliant second place for him. Carlos Sainz would quite like it that the order you see on your screen at the moment is the order
that's what's gonna happen.
Is given to end this race, because he's on the podium. But if they go back to the order it was at the grid, then things might change around a bit. Corinne Chandon is at Sky Race Control. What do you got for us, Corinne?
Haas have told Nico Hülkenberg that they think they will go out back on track, but behind the safety car and cross the line. So, therefore, the order will be as it is now on your screen on the left-hand side, rather than going back a lap. Is what Haas think is going to happen.
So they're basically saying we have to get 58 laps in. We can't stop the race as it stands currently, because we need to get 58 laps in, and we haven't got 58 laps in.
Even though it says that on the screen.
Even though it says it, yeah, but that's because the lead car has started the final lap across the line of the pit lane. So what Haas are saying is, we're going to have to go out and run round to the checkered flag. So whether we've gone past a sector or not, in terms of since the restart, that doesn't matter.
Correct.
We've red flagged it again, you clear the debris, and you carry on in this order. And that does make logical sense.
Yeah, and the order, because that 58th lap will count, even though it's, it's effectively a lap to grid, that will count as a racing lap. And therefore, you can see why Haas are going to be arguing that, because Nico's going to get fourth.
But it does make sense.
Yes.
Because what you either do is you go back to that grid again, and you say, right, we didn't get to a sector, so we start again with 2 racing laps to go, and restart it, or you have to get the 58 laps done from where we are now,
correct,
behind the safety car.
Yeah, I mean,
and if they were going to go back to the grid they had before, half of the cars won't be able to be on the grid where they were before.
Yeah, and the order, I mean, this has completely transformed the race, hasn't it? Because all of a sudden, Alfa Romeo and McLaren
have had a great
race. 4 cars are in the points.
Just quickly have a look at Lance Stroll. I did notice someone's brakes were smoking on the grid, and it was his. Did this contribute in any way to what happened to him? Big lock-up we saw there. Fernando getting spun round. Lance gets a bit of a tap from the rear, doesn't he? Yeah. Suddenly, Lance Stroll is doing rather nicely. 3rd place in this race. Got the Ferrari to his outside and goes straight on.
Like braked himself, didn't
I think, it looked like it was quite hot as well.
Yeah.
and offline as well.
I think he got a snap in turn one. I don't think he actually got hit. We'll have to have a look. Interesting though, do you think Sainz would get a penalty for hitting?
Well, that's possible as well.
But possibility.
At the start, racing incident, it seems to be into that first corner. I think that I take your point with the Silverstone situation, Karun. But at Silverstone, and if the people watching remember back to last year's British Grand Prix, no laps had been completed the race. The incident happened with Joe Guan Yu being hit by George Russell right at the start of the race. They hadn't gone through any sector whatsoever, which is why they went back to the original grid order to reset the race. We've had 57 laps when this red flag has come out. So,
but they didn't go through a sector on the 57th lap, though.
No, they didn't. But the red flag came out. We've still got a lap to complete. Yeah, you can't go back to how it was on the grid for the third restart and call that the race classification.
No, they have to go back to that the positions though. If they didn't cross a sector line, they have to go back to the positions of the cars.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then you've got two Alpines.
I know, exactly.
Yeah. And it might be then that you go back to those positions to restart it, if you're able to restart it.
Correct, because you still have to finish the race under your own power to be classified, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, therefore, I think Jensen's got a point. And I'm sure this is the discussion going on in the FIA office. Do they go back a lap of positions and line up the grid order? Effectively, the two Alpines are gone because they can't do the stuff.
Can't finish under their own power.
They can't finish under their own power. So then you'll move up, the other cars will just move up the order.
Put it this way, we're trying from the commentary box here to get some information, and I bet you that Inspector Kravitz down at the pit lane is doing just that too.
No, we're all still waiting. The teams are all still waiting. The people who have to drive are still waiting for the FIA to make their mind up on what we're going to do. So the FIA is seriously combing through everything. They'll have the stewards there, the race director, the remote operations centre in Geneva as well to help.
Yeah.
And
I've made it to page 59 of the sporting rigs, and I still can't find the answer.
Well, the hunch down here is that it's not going to be good for Alonso, basically, that they will restart it, and it will be the order with Alonso at the back, etc. Because you're getting involved with... Sorry, you've got some news?
No, I was just going to say, also bear in mind here that this race started at 3 o'clock. And there was a 3-hour time window to get this race run. Now, we've got 45 minutes for that. But if this decision isn't made, the race then stops on that 3-hour clock. And also bear in mind that whenever a race in Formula One ends early, so before the 58 laps, you take it from the end of the penultimate lap. So you would go back to how it was before the third restart. Now there are lots of rules and regulations.
Let's go one more lap.
It could well be that if we're timed out, then it goes to the results of the previous lap. And the restart order, we are going to restart this race. Verstappen and Hamilton, Alonso, Sainz, Stroll, and then Perez. And there's a big round of applause. Norris, Hulkenberg, Piastri. And then after Piastri, Joe Guan Yu, and then Yuki Tsunoda and Valtteri Bottas. That is going to be the restart order, and they will go round the track and finish basically not behind the safety car because it will have peeled in, but just cross the line to take the checkered flag. So that is what the FIA Racing Control have decided will be this case. And I'm just looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The big cheer I think you heard there is that Oscar Piastri is going to finish in the points for the first time in 9th.
I think that is the right decision. Yeah. I think they've gone back a lap because you haven't gone through a sector.
Yeah.
And they've got to drive around and finish the race. The cars that haven't...
Wait, so they're not going to do a...
finish under their own power are the two Alpines.
Yeah.
So they've been taken out of the order. And this is how it's going to finish.
They're not going to do a restart?
Oh, that's painful for him.
That's huge. It's hugely costly.
It was a massive amount of points. 5th and 10th.
Yeah. And ruining Pierre Gasly, super race today. But you could argue, Jensen, that as you said, he should have been looking a little bit to his right because he was going that much slower than the rest of the pack.
But it does mean the fairy tale story that Piastri is going to score points in his first home race.
Yeah, that'll be worthy of a party in Melbourne tonight. Have you missed your plane yet? Do you want to stay?
Maybe.
Maybe. Got a sofa for him. Ted Kravitz.
And that good news for Alonso has been relayed to Fernando himself. And not more than a little smile, a little grin. He's just having a drink from his drinks bottle. He's with Fabrizio, his trainer. And just a little knowing look to his trainer and a little grin. And he's still out of the car. And now the Aston Martin mechanics are having to shift his car. Car number 14 gets moved up.
I tell you, also is very relieved.
Go on.
Is Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
After he just binned his best friend.
Yeah.
And hero.
Well, they wouldn't be going out for tiffin when they see each other next, to be honest. Or tapas. Might have a tiff.
Yeah.
But no tiffin. Joe Bauer.
I'm not really sure what's going on.
To everyone, what this is going to be. And if you're still a little confused, let's try and explain this as simplistically as we can. We had a third restart. All sorts of kerfuffle going on at the third restart. But because the cars had not gone through the first sector on the track, because the red flag came out because of all the kerfuffle, and the race was then effectively stopped, the FIA have no reference point on that lap to establish an order. So you have to go back to the previous point where the FIA can establish the order of the race. And that was at the restart of the race. So all those cars that were sat on the grid now sit on the grid.
I'm not really sure what's going on, but we'll just find out as we go.
Cars that are out of this race, particularly the Alpines, who, by coming together, cost themselves some points. He is a proper man of the people at the moment, Fernando Alonso, isn't he? He took the team out for dinner and drinks on Wednesday night. He's now carrying on, helping the tyres. He even wished Jimmy the tyre man a happy 60th birthday in Bahrain on the radio.
It happens when the car's competitive. It's not so much when it's not competitive.
Absolutely.
So now we have to spend half an hour putting them in the right order and driving around to the grid.
Now we have to put them in the right order so that they can go behind the safety car to complete the final lap of the race. And when they do so, the checkered flag will come out. Nobody will be able to overtake because it's essentially a formation lap to the grid behind the safety car, and you can't overtake behind the safety car. And the checkered flag will come out, and this will be the results of the race. And I hope that is explained as simply as I can, because quite frankly, Ted Kravitz, my mind is a little bit frazzled, just like Fernando Alonso seems to be too.
Perfect, crystal clear. Top job,
Thank you very
Crofty. I tell you
This
what,
is
don't
the
go down to
shittiest
Haas
shit
later
show
and
ever.
ask for a coffee or how they are, because Günther Steiner is fuming. Hulkenberg would have been P4, Crofty, had they set with the Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Norris, Piastri, Zhou, Bottas.
This is okay. So Günther Steiner went to the NASCAR race last week, and he was the announcer. He was in the booth, and Kimi Räikkönen and Jenson Button drove in the race. And that race is a shit show. A lot of NASCAR races are a fucking shit show towards the end, where it's just crash after crash and shit. So their energy coming to this race, they just brought their NASCAR energy over to this race.
It's the latter at the moment.
Yeah, I think
and put a curse on it, and that's what's happened.
Logically,
that is what's happened.
The solution that the rules and regulations allow for, in that if you haven't got a reference point on any particular lap, i.e. a sector, an order as you go through the sectors, there are 3 on the FIA's timing screens, then you have to go back to your previous reference point. And that, I think, is something that everybody can understand, Jensen, and accept.
Sorry, Crofty, this is nice.
Jackie Stewart.
Sorry, Crofty, this is nice. Valtteri Bottas's grid trolley has conked out, so they can't pressurise the car and charge the tyre blankets. So Alpine, who don't have any cars left in the race, are helping Alfa Romeo out with their grid trolley generator. Isn't that nice?
It is.
Oh, that's not true. Right, I'll let you get on with it, sorry.
Meanwhile, Freddie Vasseur is like, I've got a bad back. I could have done without this.
Yeah.
I thought an hour and a half, that'd be fine. Toto Wolff's given it, well, it's just 10 years at Mercedes. I don't think I've ever seen
This
a
is
race
fucking
quite
stupid.
as chaotic as this. Oh, actually, no, I might have done,
Yeah,
but
he
we won't
might
talk
have
about that. I saw Freddie Vasseur earlier, and I did ask about his back. Had it improved much? But no,
No.
not at all. It's,
Painkillers, he'll be alright.
yeah, oh, mate, he's been suffering all weekend. We are going to get a resumption in 10 minutes' time.
Jesus.
It's the right call. This is the right call. Totally.
Yeah.
Wish they could just call it now.
Well, they have. What they've said is, here's the restart order. They can't call the official classification because we haven't got to the end of 58 laps. And whilst yes, you can't overtake behind the safety car, someone might break down. But do you know what? Today, I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Well, and also the Alpines would be classified then also, wouldn't they?
Yes.
If we didn't move from the pits.
That is very true. Yeah. But they can't move under their own power.
I mean, I think if you're just gonna wait this long and do it, just do a fucking restart. Just have them race. Like, that's my thing.
Stranded. What a race this has been.
I wonder if the drivers put all their gear on properly. The seat belts and stuff and red.
I would think so.
Just driving around to the start
No,
line.
but you've got to have your seatbelts done up. You wouldn't want to. Well, say you're Max Verstappen. Yeah, I don't need my seatbelts. I don't need my gloves. Yeah. And then someone from the FIA sees you getting out of the car saying you didn't undo your seatbelt. You didn't wear your gloves. Hang on. We'll protest that. Oscar Piastri is on course then for his first ever points in Formula One. Just like his manager, Mark Webber. Do you remember when Mark Webber from Minardi here, wasn't it, in back in the day, 2002, fifth from Minardi on his debut.
Still,
and I know it's not Oscar's debut, but it's his debut in an Australian Grand Prix.
Still probably one of the most famous moments in Melbourne, isn't it, for the Grand Prix, seeing Mark Webber and Paul Stoddart up on the podium there for 5th place.
I remember wiping my eyes, thinking they were just a little bit blurry here. Mark Webber, Minardi, the 5th.
I remember that. Well, so they have 35 minutes to get this finished.
Yeah, which we should just about do. We're going to resume with 27 minutes to go before that 3-hour clock runs out.
And you know what, Jensen, you're saying, wonder if the drivers put all the kit on and stuff properly.
I wasn't
I know you were
serious.
joking.
What's
I know
next?
you were.
Is
But
fucking
actually, it made me think of
the
a serious
volcano
point, which
of
is,
Yellowstone
it's
gonna
easy for the
erupt?
teams as well to relax
They
a
ruin
bit
the
as well,
entire
saying,
world,
we're
and
only going to
then
send the car off for one lap to get to the grid.
we just wait for the entire world to be reset
They can't afford
in
for the car to
10,000
have a
years, and then we
problem
run around and do this final lap under yellow.
There's an issue with the car doesn't make it around the lap, they won't be classified. So it is actually really important for all of these people. I see Toto Wolff there looking at the Red Bull, but every one of those mechanics and engineers to be absolutely on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Ted, down to you.
Well, I know what you're saying, Karoo, but can I ask a stupid yet obvious question?
Always.
Given that this is the result of the race, and well done Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, assuming that their cars get to the end of the formation lap, why are we restarting?
Because you have to get to the end of the race, Ted.
Why don't they just say the race will not resume?
Because there's no reason for the race not to resume. But there isn't any reason for the race not to resume.
There is, because there's not going to be any racing.
Yeah, but
if they're not going to be racing,
that's
it's by extension, logically, not going to be a race. Crofty.
That's an irrelevant argument
Well,
because
a safety car lap is part of the race.
Because a safety car lap is part of the race.
And they might not. You said someone might break down.
And someone might break down, and also the
Alpines.
The Alpines as well, right? It's for those
They should
people
just
who,
go back
let's say
racing.
Gasly was 5th. Oh, there's a 5-second penalty for Carlos Sainz. There you go, Ted. There's a reason for this lap.
Hang on. I didn't know that was going to happen.
So hang on. So does this mean that everyone is going to be pushing Carlos
Sainz has a 5-second time penalty?
Or does it? Are we going to be going back into the grid?
No, that will be added to his race time, and then he'll.
No, they just drive across the line.
Okay, so everyone's just going to be as close as they can to him across the finish line. You're going to have 5 cars, 6 cars pushing each other across the finish line to be within 5 seconds.
Correct. Carlos Sainz could find himself out of the points here.
They're going to be like 4 abreast.
Yes, Jensen. Possibly.
I tell you what, if you're Lance Stroll, Christmas has just come a bit early. Carlos Sainz has got a 5-second penalty, and Pierre Gasly's out of the race, and you're now going to finish fourth.
Aston Martin, third and fourth.
Oh dear. And yet, Ted, you have to get the race finished. Let's just have a look
Carlos
at
Sainz
why
is pissed.
Carlos Sainz has a 5-second penalty. Now, in the steward's view, yeah, he could have avoided that accident. Jenson Button's view?
Yeah, I mean, I've done the same thing as he's done. So, you know, you make mistakes, and he thought he was giving Fernando enough room, but Fernando obviously is turning right, and he's not turning as much right, and maybe he should have given a bit more room.
I can't hear what Carlos is saying, but the eyes are wide open there. I think he's saying no, that's not right. I don't agree with that at all. He looks pretty angry about this.
He's pissed.
Because when they're going behind the safety car, he's going to lose quite a few points there. I would not like to think how that 5-second gap is going to be managed in any way. By the way, the stewards have noted the Gasly and Ocon collision too.
Yeah, this is going to be a pointless race for Ferrari, isn't it?
Could well be.
Gary Ganna's just been on the radio, Nico Hulkenberg, saying exactly what you said, Jensen. You know, he's 9th. Well, one of the Alpines is going to be gone, so he'll be 8th in the queue. But he's saying just get really close because all the cars have got to bunch up to Carlos Sainz.
Because they're obviously not going
on the radio.
fast.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not like a race where everyone's going to go through within 5 seconds.
And you might be thinking, well, look,
Okay, so F1's literally more stupid than NASCAR now. So they red flagged it with 2 laps to go, and then they obviously came back to pit road to stop the cars, and they crossed the start-finish line. So now it's the final lap.
Well, the answer to that
But I think it's like they want to officially finish the race.
In Monaco a few years ago,
because I think it's like
Michael was quickly told.
I think it's like you don't get full points if you don't go 100% or some shit. Like,
No, it cannot be, Ricky.
and I think it's also like they want everyone's official finishing order because it's like you have to finish the race under your own power. So.
No, please, Aston, please, to wait and discuss with me. Clearly the penalty is not deserved, it's too severe.
And I do feel for Carlos, and I know people want penalties issued quickly and decided before the end of the race.
So yeah, they're going to be pacing around one lap,
factors we don't know,
and then crossing the start-finish line under yellow.
Penalty, although the right of review,
and we're just waiting for that to happen.
In Jeddah, it's a completely different
It
thing.
is stupid.
It wasn't the appeal. It was like, no, you need to.
And I think like if you're going to do that, then just go back racing.
About before you dish the penalty.
The one thing I would say is, yeah, the penalty maybe is correct. I think maybe we shouldn't have mentioned the penalty until after the race, because now it puts it into a position where you have 5 cars that are going to be trying to push them across the finish line, and it could become unsafe.
Yeah, okay. No, I take your point on that one. It's something that might get mentioned in the steward's report as to maybe going forward we should do this in a slightly different way. I don't know, but in effect you cannot overtake on this lap unless you see a car in trouble slowing down because you think it's broken down. Even when the safety car peels back into the pits, you still can't overtake.
No.
So that man there, Max Verstappen in the mirrors, is going to win for the first time in Melbourne, and Red Bull are, for the first time ever, going to win the first 3 races of the season too. And Lance Stroll is going to benefit by a couple of extra places.
Well, Max Verstappen still has to cross the finish line. It's not. It's not official that he's won. What if he can't get his car restarted? What if he breaks down?
Norris is going to.
That's why they're doing this final lap.
And Piastri will definitely be in the points. We just don't know how many right now.
Well, Piastri would be scoring 9th, but maybe 8th, depending on where Carlos Sainz can finish.
And if he can't slow down too much, but he would definitely slow down before the last corner, then accelerate towards the finish line.
And the thing is as well, Carlos Sainz is going to want to be as close to the car in front of him, Fernando Alonso, but then others behind Sainz are going to want to be as close to him.
Yeah.
But if anyone overtakes him, then they've committed an infringement. So it might be worth Carlos Sainz just dabbing the brakes as he is allowed to do, and maybe, you know, lulling others into a move past him. You never know.
I don't think he would do that, but he'll definitely back it up with, you know, before the last corner, the 10 lengths he's allowed to, and then he's going to floor it, hoping that he doesn't catch the car in front before the finish line to get a bigger gap to the cars behind him.
So the race will resume.
Oh wait, aren't seasons like opposite
It will be a rolling
in
start
Australia? So this is like fall for them right
all
now.
the way through this. Thank you.
So like their sunsets are like different times. Like I think for them their sunsets are like
I've seen 3 times
normal fall sunsets
the
for
race
us,
start
like
with cars on the grid.
September
Why is it going to be different?
or October 1st. Like what would be the October
Why is
1st
it going to be different
sunset?
for this one? Why are we going to get a rolling start? Especially when, as you can see, the finish line there on your screen is actually beyond the grid. Couldn't they just start from the grid? Couldn't they just finish this race with a 1 meter dash to the finish line for Max Verstappen? And I'm assuming the rolling start is just the safest and most simplest way to get this done.
No, I think what you're saying is right. I think we should stop at the start line.
Okay, Max. So, plan is safety car will enter the pit lane at the end of this lap. You will then take the checkered flag. The rolling start, i.e. just take the checkered flag. There is no overtaking until the line.
And that's the thing. No overtaking until you get to the line. Because when you get to the line, the race is done. So if anyone, Carlos Sainz has gone a little bit slowly, does go past Carlos Sainz, so the stewards might want to get stuck into that one as well. I think we have had just about everything in this race, Jensen, but we're also going to get Yuki Tsunoda finishing 11th in this race. So before we get bogged down with the point scoring, Yuki Tsunoda will equal the record for the most consecutive finishes in a single place other than first in Formula One.
No, not necessarily.
Because of Carlos Sainz's penalty.
Yes.
So for that reason alone, Carlos Sainz needs an appeal. That is tongue-in-cheek a little bit on that one. But, you know, Yuki Tsunoda could be a record breaker here. He might still be a record breaker depending on that 5-second penalty. And, well, how close or not, if I was Yuki Tsunoda, I'd just hang back a little bit, just so I could put my name in the record books.
Exactly. Should we move on?
Nico Rosberg's in that record book for that record about 3 times.
Yeah.
To be fair, the fans in front of our commentary box, now the cars have gone through, are all making their way to try and get on the track and celebrate in front of the podium. But somebody needs to hold them back because the cars will be going across the line and doing another lap before they get back into the pits again.
Yeah, luckily no one's actually going on the track, but they are climbing the fence here.
They're going.
Yeah.
Not
so we've stopped the team celebrating on the fence, and now we've got fans on the fence. Either way, Max Verstappen makes his way around.
Lewis should just wreck him right now.
And they rise for Max
See what
Verstappen,
happens.
They rise for Lewis Hamilton, and they rise for Fernando Alonso. 3 world champions occupying the top 3. Verstappen wins the Australian
And
Grand
Max
Prix.
Verstappen
Hamilton
wins
gets
it.
second. Alonso third. Sainz fourth. Then
Are you all happy?
Stroll, Perez, and Piastri. And as they all go over the line, Carlos Sainz has finished 12th according to our timing screen. Yuki Tsunoda gets into the points and finishes 10th. Valtteri Bottas is just outside it. Carlos Sainz with that penalty for the crash with Fernando Alonso, to his great fears, sadly has finished outside of the points. And that is a pointless weekend for Ferrari. That is a big disappointment. Charles Leclerc losing it at the first corner. Carlos Sainz losing his finish at the checkered flag. Max Verstappen wins though, no doubt about it. He was the deserving winner today. Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, well, a great second for them.
Yeah.
And well done.
Yeah, well, it took a while, but winners of it. Good weekend.
Yeah, no, well done, mate. That was was a bit of a lengthy one, but well navigated. Our first win here since 2011, so and your first, obviously. So well done and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a really good weekend for us. Really happy with that. So Max Verstappen makes his way then towards the podium. Meanwhile, Nico Hulkenberg's broken down on the track at turn 2. So there's officially a red flag flying there because we've got a car stranded on the track. He's finished, and he's finished 7th, and he scores some big points. There he goes for the Haas team. But he's going to have to walk back.
That was my pick, driver of the day, Sergio Perez.
Starting from the pit lane to finish 5th in this race. And he was the one that got the overtakes done, Jensen, a lot of them into this turn 11 here.
Yeah, he did some good moves. I think there are a lot of great drives out there today. It's difficult to pick, but you always love the guy that fights from the back through to the front. But yeah, great work by McLaren. That's very much needed for them.
Mega job, guys. What an amazing result. Thank you so much. So proud of you all. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing.
So really well done there, Lewis. Yeah, it's a long afternoon, but yeah, that's definitely deserved that result.
Well driven, Lewis. Very, very well.
Thanks, Toto.
Always under control.
Now you've got to feel for George Russell with a mechanical failure, and the man that was leading the race, and the red flag, the first red flag went against him. The mechanical failure cost him, obviously, but that second place on merit for Lewis Hamilton will absolutely energise him and the whole Mercedes team.
Yeah, great. It's really good to hear him so happy.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to win, obviously, like everyone out there, but really happy with his result there. I don't think he expected to be that close to the pace of the Red Bulls. I know they were sort of 10 seconds behind before we had the red flag, but even so, good performance.
Yeah, it certainly was. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but as the winner of the race pulls into the #1 spot underneath the podium, reflects on this. An 80th career podium for Max Verstappen equals Ayrton Senna's total. It's a victory for the first time here in Melbourne. It's victory for Red Bull in the first 3 races of the season for the first time ever.
Sky Sports
And it's win
F1
number
just posted.
37 for the man who leads the World Championship. Was the calmest thing on 2 legs going into this race, and emerges triumphant. And when he was able to show his pace, boy, did he show some pace in that Red Bull. Shaking the hands with Lewis Hamilton before muted celebrations because of the way the race ended with his team. This, though, nonetheless, a very, very big afternoon for Red Bull as they establish their dominance once more.
Yeah, congratulations to them. That was a dominant drive. A little whoopsie with the front lock into the second to last corner, the trip across the grass. But apart from that, yeah, they've been the standout team.
Someone at Aston Martin's found a big cutout of Fernando Alonso's face, and Lance Stroll as well, and they'll be chanting "Whoa, Fernando Alonso" in a moment, which is something that has rung out at every single race so far as he stands on the podium for the first time for 3 races in a row since 2013. I dare say, off the top of my head, I think it's the first time that the Team Silverstone has had 3 podiums in a row as well. What a start to the season they're having, but blimey, that could have gone from, like, you know, hero to proper zero had we not have gone back to the previous order for that restart. There's a love affair going on down there between a 2-time world champion and his new team.
Yeah, I mean, he's still probably excited. You know, it's obviously a delayed celebration for them, but as you said, 3 podiums in a row. Fernando with his new team, he made the right call. He made the right call going to Aston Martin, didn't he? And you know, he feels very at home, and I'm sure they love having him there.
They do. He's been an energy boost. He's working really well, I'm told, with the engineers and with the mechanics. He's getting to know everyone, and they had a very good time down on the beach on Wednesday nights when he took them out for dinner. Lance Stroll came along as well, and Alonso and Stroll kind of side by side here today too, with a 4th place finish for him. See if we can hear the drivers. Maybe not. Lewis Hamilton celebrating with his team. Back on the podium, Lewis Hamilton then, for the first time since Brazil last year. That's a 192nd podium, I made that, for Lewis Hamilton. And smiles tonight here in Australia for him. As we wait to hear from the top three, David Coulthard is with Fernando Alonso.
Fernando, what a Grand Prix. Have you ever experienced the likes? Probably not. I mean, we had a roller coaster of emotions today, and yeah, many things going on at the beginning, but then also at the end now, you know, the last half an hour was difficult to understand what's going on, but the race itself, it was good for us in terms of pace. I think Mercedes were very fast, and Luis did an incredible job today, so I could not match the pace or not get close enough, but we take P3.
Yeah, that's what we were wondering in the Grand Prix, whether you were just pacing yourself trying to save your tyres, because early on it looked like it would be a straightforward run to the flag, but all of that changed, and then of course I guess your heart was in the mouth at that red flag restart when you were spun around.
Yeah. I mean, the first red flag did help us because George and Carlos came in, so we took those places for free, and the second red flag probably didn't help, obviously, with the incident there. But you know, we got lucky again, and we had another opportunity now to just see the checkered flag in P3. And as I said, P3, P4 for the team is just amazing Sunday.
Well, you started with 3 races, 3 podiums. What can the rest of the season bring you?
I guess a little bit higher up on the podium, because 3 third places. Let's go for a second place at least.
Okay, well, go and enjoy the podium.
I want to see the cool down part.
Welcome back to the podium. That was a crazy race.
It was. I've got to say a huge thank you to everyone here in Australia and in Melbourne for having. I've had the best week here this week, and the weather's been amazing today, and this track just continues to put on or this town continues to put on a great show. So yeah, I mean, I'm really unlucky for George today. On our side, we've got to look into. Our reliability has generally been really good, so that's really unfortunate. But otherwise, to get those points is really amazing today. I definitely didn't expect to be on second, so I'm super grateful for it.
There's so many questions because you've been saying you feel a bit disconnected from the car, but yet come race day, that pace was good. Maybe not enough for Red Bull, but you looked fighty. You know, you really pushed the Max into turn 3 on that opening start, and you looked up for it.
Yeah, I still feel uncomfortable in the car though. You know, the car's still not, I don't feel connected to it. So I'm driving as best I can with that disconnect, and I'm working as hard as I can to try and create that connect. But I think it's a long project. So, but still, considering we've been down on performance, we're clearly down on end of straight pace compared to the Red Bulls. For us to be up here fighting with Aston is just amazing at this point of the season. And we just got to keep on fighting. Big thank you to all the people back at the factory. Let's keep pushing. We can close that gap. It's going to be tough, but not impossible.
Just want to pick up on a moment when you were on the radio quite early on the Grand Prix saying that I don't think the tyres will make it. I wasn't sure if that was you kind of bluffing to put the opposition off.
I definitely wasn't bluffing. I mean, I think honestly, I was having to push a lot to keep right at the beginning, obviously, to keep Max behind. And then Fernando was pushing. You know, they're very quick. So I think ultimately he was a little bit quicker today behind me, but I just managed to hold him off. So for that, I'm really grateful. And also just what a legend kind of, you know, we got a world champion up ahead. We've got 2 world champions in the top 3, or 3 world champions in the top 3. That's pretty mega.
Yeah, it is indeed. Formula 1 2023 is excellent. Well done on your second place.
Thank you.
Yes. And finally, our race winner. Well, not really straightforward to get that victory, was it?
No, we had a very poor start, and then yeah, lap 1 I was careful because I had a lot to lose and they had a lot to win, you know. So yeah, after that, I mean, I think the pace of the car was quick. You could see that straight away. We were always there waiting for the DRS to open up to have a chance to pass. But yeah, with these red flags, yeah, I don't know. The first one maybe you can do it, but I think that second one I don't really understand. So it was a bit of a mess, but yeah, we survived everything. We had good pace in the car today again, and we won, which of course is the most important.
The battle with Lewis on that first start down in turn 3, there was maybe a little bit of contact there. It was hard but fair.
From my side, I just tried to avoid the contact. it's quite clear in the rules what is allowed to do, what you're allowed to do now in the outside, but clearly it's not followed. But that's okay. You know, we had good pace. We passed them anyway. But it's something for the next races to take into account.
Okay, well, let's take it a little bit further in the race, and then coming into the second last corner, you decided to go for a little trip to the grass.
Yeah, I think I did the city a favor. You know, I just cut the grass a bit more. They don't need to do that anymore in that area. So yeah, I don't know, I locked up a bit and didn't want to flat spot the tire completely, so it ran a bit wide. But we had a good margin.
And in the end, you had to wait a little bit there before you could do that final lap to get your 37th victory in Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great to win here. My first win as well. It's been a while for the team as well, but yeah, very, very, very happy. But also, it's still great to see that the fans are having a good time even now. You know, they had a long wait for the whole day, but yeah, I'd say a big thank you to them as well. You know, to stick around.
Excellent, Max. Go and enjoy the podium.
Thank you.
So 2018 in Hungary, Kimi Räikkönen, Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton stood together on the podium, and that was the last time we had 3 world champions on the podium together. Lewis made mention of it. You know, I've got a world champion ahead of me, I've got a world champion behind me. It would be lovely to think that we'll see the world champions giving that sort of entertainment race after race after race this year.
Yeah, I think so, and it's possible. It really is. I know that the Red Bull do have too big an advantage right now, but it's great to see Aston Martin and Mercedes very similar at the moment. Is that the most world championships we've seen on a podium?
Must be.
Yeah.
It's 11.
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Yeah, I would certainly imagine so.
Here's the cool down room.
Please don't spray until, because you have 2 protectors on that side, just until they let me take it up.
Spray, can't spray.
Absolutely no chance they're going to follow that one, or should they?
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be repetitive. No, I mean the starts.
Yeah. Super threat, man. Right to left, you to the right. That was yeah, I mean, especially the second restart, I was very positive, sure. It's because the safety car's driving so slow, you can open any heat. It's like ice.
And we'll leave it there. Think about the safety car, it's meant to be going around for safety, not very fast. But it's never going to go fast enough for the tyres, the cars and the drivers.
Well, normally it's fine with tyre temperature, but here they've struggled. The temperatures have been a bit lower, and also they were on the hard But it was nice to see that little smile from Lewis when he was leading away from the restart.
Max didn't want to comment on that one, did he?
No, they went a bit quiet, didn't they?
But I don't think he was looking at that particular replay as well. And I'm sure we'll get
Jaden
like that. We never did quite see how it would have turned out with Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton towards the end of the race.
Are you still
normal
here?
Racing, because we had red flags, didn't we? We had 3 red flags in total. But as it stands, Fernando Alonso went from 4th on the grid to finish 3rd. Lewis Hamilton went from 3rd on the grid to finish as runner-up today. And Max Verstappen, who was on pole for the 22nd time in Formula One, has ended up with a victory, and a first victory here at Albert Park for the 2-time world champion.
Oh my god, some guy just fucking threw the middle finger at the camera.
Well, we've heard that national anthem combination many, many times in Formula One, and Max Verstappen puts on another winner's cap and collects a trophy that Jensen, you pointed out, is coveted by many, many drivers here.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful trophy, isn't it? It's definitely a special one. Nice one for the captain, and it's the first one for him, isn't it?
It is the first one here. He gets a medal, of course, as every winning driver does. Michael Bradley from the Australian Automobile Association handing out the medal and the trophy, and the Sir Jack Brabham trophy for the winning constructor. Rob Marshall receiving that. Sir Jackie Stewart, the Rolex ambassador, I think we'll call him multiple world champion, giving out the trophies there to Rob Marshall from Red Bull.
Alright, y'all. Well, I'm gonna end this stream. Fun times, but also the stupid fucking race. But also still fun. But yeah. I'll be live in about 11 hours and 20 minutes for the Cup race at 3:15. So, yeah. I'll see y'all then. I want to thank y'all for watching.